Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Hokage, Annihilation of Everything. Chapter 21. The appearance of Uchiha Makoto is surprising, but also expected. I didn't pay much attention to the person sitting at the front table before, I only knew that she was a woman. Since when he came to school, he basically just leaned on the desk to refine chakra, and he didn't pay much attention to the classmates in the class. The difference in temperament makes it difficult for him to stay with these so-called peers and have a common language. What is the most talked about thing among ninja schools today? It's nothing more than becoming a ninja and a hero admired by thousands of people. And he knew the cruelty in the ninja world and didn't care much about the so-called heroes. Being able to live and do what you want to do is the best thing you can do. Now Makoto has appeared. Judging from her expression just now, it can be seen that she is not very interested in Uchiha Fugaku. I didn't expect to meet her here, Uchiha Fugaku. I wonder if you can still go smoothly. Luo Chuan had a sarcastic smile, and his cold aura made the two people next to him feel creepy. The boss is so weird, the boss is so scary. Maturity beyond peers, wisdom beyond peers, strength beyond peers. Everything proves that this boss is not simple. He slowly walked out of the ninja school, but just as he reached the door, the appearance of four people made Luo Chuan frown. What are you doing here? Looking at the four people walking in front, Luo Chuan asked in a calm tone. The four people bowed slightly and said, "Three adults, the clan leader has ordered that your safety must be ensured when going to and from school in the near future." These four people are members of the Hyuga clan. Judging from the vests on their bodies, they should be a combination of elite Chunin and Chunin. Elite Chunin's words made Luo Chuan think to himself, Qianyang asked them to come. This did not happen in the past, and there was no one to protect me when I went to and from school. But now there are four tribesmen guarding them. Could it be that there is some movement within the tribe? Thinking of this, Luo Chuan asked, "Do you know what happened?" Lord Luo Chuan, the clan leader, didn't explain, he just asked us to be careful during this period, that's all. Luo Chuan's heart skipped a beat when he heard this, and he had concluded that something must have happened within the clan. Really? Take me to see the clan leader. Yes. After Elite Chunin finished speaking, he led the way, while the other three people protected them and strictly checked the people around them. Silent all the way, Luo Chuan kept thinking about what might happen, and even thought that there might be something happening to the Uchiha clan. However, after much deliberation, these possibilities have been denied. The Uchiha family absolutely does not have the courage to take action at this time. Hiashi and Hazashi were too afraid to speak a word due to the serious atmosphere, and followed them back to the family. Several people who entered the family went directly to Hyuga Qianyang's study. At this moment, Hyuga Qianyang was in the study, as if he knew Luo Chuan was back here. Seeing several people coming in, Luo Chuan waved his hand, and the others quickly left. "Master, why are you suddenly on alert?" The entire family is on alert, and the people of the Hyuga clan who are walking along the way are more cautious in doing things and their eyes are more cautious. Hyuga Qianyang smiled faintly and said, "Someone has robbed the clan's treasures, so it is necessary to be more vigilant." Treasure? Of course, do you think any treasures of the Hyuga clan could be plundered? Could it be? Luo Chuan thought of a possibility and looked at Qianyang in surprise. Hyuga Qianyang nodded and said, "It's just as you thought. It is unimaginable that this kind of conversation should occur between a man in his 40s and an 8-year-old child. Hyuga Luo Chuan has brought too many surprises to this family. From birth to now, the surprises have never stopped. Let's just say that he killed a Chunin some time ago, which caused a huge shock to the family. Although there are many Chunin-level clan members in the clan, which one can kill a Chunin at the age of 8. Therefore, he can afford the title of adult." Hyuga Luo Chuan became silent when he learned the truth, and his white eyes were robbed. Now that the alert level in the clan has been raised, it should mean that the Byakugan has been robbed. So, who will rob Byakugan? If it's within Konoha, it should be Danzo and Orochimaru. Danzo has a great possibility, because he has always been in the blood inheritance limit of mobile phones. As for Orochimaru, that is basically impossible. Although he is both good and evil now, his heart should still belong to Konoha at this moment. Even if he studies the forbidden technique, it is impossible to attack the people in his own village, let alone the Hyuga clan. Do you know who he is? Not in Konoha village, Hyuga Kianyang answered firmly. Luo Chuan pondered for a moment, so that means he belongs to the enemy country. At this time, Hiashi couldn't hold himself back anymore and said, whoever he is, if he goes against the Hyuga clan, he will teach them a lesson. Just fight him. Angry and full of blood. Luo Chuan is helpless, can you have some brains? Even if they knew they were human ninjas from an enemy country, there was no way they could cause trouble without absolute evidence. Moreover, Konoha cannot start a war casually. Qian Yang automatically ignored Hiyashi's words and asked, Luo Chuan, what do you think? The question was posed to Luo Chuan, who was really confused. I don't have any opinion. As long as it has not left the territory of the fire country, then take it back and destroy the body and eliminate the traces. And if it has left the territory of the fire country, then it will be treated as if it never happened. A flash of appreciation flashed in Qianyang's eyes. He stood up and clapped his hands and said, not bad, basically consistent with what I thought. Luo Chuan, I really did not misjudge you, you are not simple-minded. Luo Chuan, according to the information I have received, you have been the target of some people. The family will not let you fall into the hands of others, that is for sure. So there will be someone to protect you at all times during this period, and, Lord Third Hokage, I think highly of you. Following by Hokage, Luo Chuan didn't feel happy at all, but was a little cautious. Sarutobi Hiruzen is now in his prime and is a famous ninja hero in the ninja world, not the indecisive old man he was decades later. Bringing attention to such a character can have both good and bad consequences. The advantage is that you may be able to get good things, such as ninjutsu, genjutsu, etc., but the disadvantage is that you may be monitored at all times. Third Hokage's telescope technique can observe people at all times. As long as he is willing, he may detect any movement in the village. This feeling of being spied on is unbearable, especially when he is in urgent need of increasing his strength. He may need some special means to increase the ability of the blood succession limit, and if those means are visually observed by the third generation, the consequences will be disastrous. Qian Yang seemed to see part of his inner thoughts and said, what? Aren't you happy to be paid attention to by Master Third Hokage? You must know that those who are paid attention to by Master Third Hokage will basically have high achievements. Luo Chuan, Third Hokage, Your Excellency is known as the Doctor of Ninjutsu and is familiar with all kinds of ninjutsu. If you can get his guidance, it will be of great benefit to you. Don't worry, I won't spy on you. Luo Chuan answered briefly, but his heart was not so calm. Hiashi, Hazashi, you two go down. Please pay attention during this period and report anything suspicious. Yes, father. The two brothers stepped back respectfully. Qianyang looked at Luo Chuan with a smile. Okay, why do you have so many things in your head, little brat? Stop thinking about those things. Let me tell you something about the Uchiha family. I think you will be very interested in knowing it. You and Uchiha Fugaku have been causing trouble during this time. There are a lot of contradictions. Luo Chuan didn't reply. How could the things he did in the ninja school be hidden from Hyuga Qianyang? The feud between the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan has continued. Hyuga Qianyang spoke slowly, telling the story of the grievances between the Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan. From the beginning to the present, let's go through it one by one. Luo Chuan basically understood these things, but now with Qian Yang's narration, he also understood some deeper things. At the same time, I also learned some news about 8 trigrams, that makes people laugh or cry. Hyuga Qianyang and Uchiha Hina, the current head of the Uchiha clan, have had a grudge since they were in ninja school. Qianyang has been calm in character since childhood, relatively taciturn, and has quite the leadership ability. Uchiha Hina has a hot temper and is also a romantic boy. Both are popular figures in the school, but one is popular and the other is feared. Because of Uchiha Hina's romantic personality, she often flirted with girls in the ninja school. Qianyang couldn't stand it, and she often had conflicts with him because of this matter. In the end, they even took action, but under the suppression of the family elders, the matter between the two remained unresolved. Hyuga Chiyo no longer paid attention to Uchiha Hina, and Uchiha Hina no longer had conflicts with Hyuga Chiyo. This was the case until after graduation. After graduation, Uchiha Hina could not change her romantic character, and became ambiguous with many female ninjas in the village, and some even had relationships. That's it. Uchiha Hina's ninja career can be said to have been spent in dissipation, but his talent is extremely high and his strength is quite good. When he was promoted to Jonin, Hyuga Kyonyang suddenly discovered an extremely interesting thing, that is, there were several children among the Uchiha clan, and the charm of those children was very similar to Uchiha Hina. After final investigation, it turned out that these were the illegitimate children he created after hooking up with a female ninja. Because she is of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Hina finally chose to get rid of those female ninjas and keep these children. This is the 8 trigrams news of the Uchiha clan, the 8 trigrams news that makes people laugh or cry. Of course, Hyuga Chiyo is not the only one who knows, there are also some people in the Uchiha clan who know, but because of Hina's identity, no one dares to speak out. That's really interesting, illegitimate child. There was a trace of irony on Luo Chuan's face. He had the courage to marry someone, but he didn't have the courage to give him an identity. He also allowed his son to be given the contemptuous title of illegitimate son. Uchiha Hina is really not a real man. Qian Yang seemed to be looking forward to seeing other changes in Luo Chuan's expression, but he could only see this little. Okay, now that we have finished talking about the 8 trigrams of the Uchiha clan, let me tell you about the recent internal conflicts of the Uchiha clan. Internal conflict? Yes, internal conflicts because of you. Luo Chuan was very interested and asked, how can there be internal conflicts because of me? The Uchiha clan also has a group of elders, and the power of the elders group is not low. The young clan leader was seriously injured by you. Some elders advocated getting rid of you, while some advocated tolerance. Uchiha Hina also meant to get rid of you and cause trouble for the Hyuga clan. However, if they come to cause trouble, the Uchiha clan will be embarrassed in Konoha, so they dare not act rashly. If they do not deal with you, the Uchiha clan will also look ugly. It is difficult to choose, so before targeting they had serious disagreements about your matter, and that's how conflicts emerged. That's it, I understand. The Uchiha family is a well-known family in Konoha, and they value face very much, so they will naturally not embarrass the family. But regardless of whether they are looking for trouble or not, the Uchiha clan will be embarrassed. What we have to do now is to weigh how to choose so that the Uchiha clan will not be so embarrassed but can also get huge benefits. Declare war with the Hyuga clan. Impossible, as long as they dare to declare war, Konoha will immediately destroy the Uchiha clan. Assassination. After the Byakugan was plundered, the Hyuga clan was heavily guarded, making assassination very difficult. At this point, Luo Chuan finally understood why Kyonyang assigned him significantly more guards than others. There is another thing that you may be interested in. The third Hokage has always had some opinions on the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha clan is arrogant, which has caused dissatisfaction among the top management of Konoha. However, the Uchiha clan is powerful. Without major incidents, it is impossible for the top management of the Leaf to take action against the Uchiha clan. It is for this reason that the Uchiha clan is domineering in Konoha and even intends to return to the core of power. Lord Third Generation is quite dissatisfied with this. Generally speaking, this is more favorable to you, advantageous. Hyuga Kyonyang revealed another incident, which made Luo Chuan feel a little rippled in his heart, but his face remained calm. Really? Not interested. Oh, you don't care what Third Generation Sama thinks. What Hokage Sama thinks has nothing to do with me. I just want to graduate as soon as possible, that's all. After graduation, it means becoming a genin. After becoming a real ninja, you can leave the village to perform tasks. If you are lucky, you may be able to meet the owner of the blood succession limit and test the power of the Byakugan. Even though the power of the Byakugan is increasing day by day, without a suitable target as an indicator, it is still difficult to clearly know the extent of the power of the Byakugan. Now that he is a Chunin, he has the power to fight elite Chunin. The Chunin level is no longer his pursuit. Killing special Jonin is interesting. This is his current goal, to improve step by step. Although there are many things happening in the ninja school, there are also many key figures in the future. But that's not the most important thing. He doesn't care whether the direction of the world will change in the future. Although you can defeat Chunin, There are many talented people in the ninja world, and it is not good to be too anxious and impatient. Speaking from experience, with your current strength, if you are really involved in the battle, your end will be ugly. Ninjas, or if you don't play your cards according to common sense, there won't be many ninjas who will reason with you, and there won't be many ninjas who will have a one-on-one duel with you. The battle between ninjas should be called a war. War is cruel, you are ruthless, you have to wake up. Hyuga Qianyang was very attentive in teaching Luo Chuan. Just like the elders, it can be said that they put countless efforts into him. The true hope of the Hyuga clan's rise, the naturally open-minded Super Byakugan. Luo Chuan knows how heavy the burden is on him, and if possible, he also wants to choose to only contribute to the family. However, the ninja world will not be peaceful in the future. Fighting ability alone is not enough. How to break free from the layouts for the entire world has become an important issue. Qianyang's sincere words. Luo Chuan could only sigh secretly and said, I understand these things, and I will apply for graduation at the appropriate time. Head of the family, I am tired, go back first. Hyuga Qianyang wanted to say something else, but he opened his mouth, stopped talking, and said, well, you should go back first. Luo Chuan left. Hyuga Qianyang let out a long sigh, and finally his expression returned to its former self. In the room, Luo Chuan was constantly refining chakra, but his mind was already exploding. What Hyuga Qianyang said today had a big impact on him: the attention of the third Hokage, the internal conflicts of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Hina's romantic past, and the attitude of Konoha's senior officials towards the Uchiha clan. These became questions for him to think about. The internal conflicts within the Uchiha clan are of no harm to him. Uchiha Hina's romantic past may also become a handle, and the attitude of Konoha's top management may also become a tool for exploitation. Only the third Hokage's attention completely bothered him. Who knows if the current third generation is already spying on technique with telescopes. If he had never seen third generation, he wouldn't be very confused. But having seen the third Hokage, the telescope technique has the conditions to activate. The condition for activating the telescope technique is to know the opponent's chakra type. As long as this is done, the crystal ball can find that person no matter how far away it is. This is a very powerful A-level ninjutsu. The troubled thoughts kept him from calming down for a long time. He took a few deep breaths and finally calmed down a little bit. Suddenly, an idea came to his mind. That's really stupid. Why didn't you think of this method before? Shadow clone technique. Shadow clone technique is a cheating tool. Leave the shadow clone wandering around the village, and you can leave at any time when needed. The telescope technique can only observe one location at the same time. In other words, if the third Hokage is observing, he will only see his shadow clone. But his true self is hidden and he can do whatever he wants. He didn't quite believe Hyuga Chio's statement that third generation would not spy on him. Maybe it won't be under long-term surveillance, but it will definitely be under surveillance over the past few days. And just in these few days, there is one thing that must be completed, and it is a relatively obscure thing. Where is the better place to get the shadow clone technique? Third generation. No, not likely. Hyuga Senyo. It is possible. He did what he thought of and immediately left the room and went to Hyuga Qianyang's room again. After a while, he returned to the room with a ninjutsu scroll. Open the scroll and check. Shadow clone technique is a B-level ninjutsu that only Jonin can master proficiently. Different from A-level ninjutsu such as multiple shadow clone technique, the threshold for shadow clone technique is much lower. Judging from his current power, which is comparable to that of elite Chunin, it is still possible to use it if he barely learns it. After looking at the scroll for a while, he quickly formed seals with his hands. Shadow clone technique. Bang bang bang. 3 white smoke curled up, and 3 figures appeared in front of his eyes, making his eyes light up. Judging from his appearance and aura, it seems that he himself is not wrong. It's just much weaker in strength, and the chakra distribution is a bit uneven. If you're familiar with it, there shouldn't be any problems. After thinking about it, I practiced the shadow clone technique overnight. In a forest dozens of kilometers away from Konoha, 3 ninjas wearing ninja vests and Konoha forehead protectors stood on a thick tree trunk, their white pupils scanning around. Nothing found. Nothing found. Two of them reported the results of their observations, and the other one, who was obviously the captain, slowly closed his eyes and whispered, "Maybe he won't stay here anymore, expand the search scope." Wait. When he said this, he seemed to have thought of something, and his white eyes opened again, locking on one of them. Found it, there. Whoosh whoosh. The three people jumped up at the same time and headed towards the observation direction. Shortly after they left, a short figure suddenly appeared on the tree trunk where they were standing. It seems things have come to a head. After a few minutes, the figure took action again. Ding. The flying shuriken was cut down in midair, and the following kunai quickly followed. A ninja wearing a cloud shinobi forehead protector across from him was stabbed in the shoulder by one of the kunai without warning, and he let out a low cry. Another cloud shinobi breaks free and quickly comes to his side. How's it going? Hard to fight. It's concise and clear. There are 3 enemies, and they are all characters with Byakugan and good strength. How did these guys catch up? It's only been a few days. I thought that staying near Konoha would attract less attention, but I didn't expect that the Hyuga clan would send people again to conduct a blanket search again. 3 ninjas from the Hyuga clan have surrounded the 2 of them, and they have no chance of winning. A flash of determination flashed in the eyes of the uninjured ninja, and he took out a scroll and stuffed it into the opponent's arms, and whispered, "Take your things and leave first. Be sure to hand them into Lord Raikage's hands, and tell Lord Raikage that you must not. He has already noticed that the plan cannot be implemented in a short period of time. We will wait until Konoha is calm before taking any action." Lord Leiji. The injured cloud shinobi elite Chunin froze for a moment, then gritted his teeth and quickly fled with the scroll. Don't even think about leaving. When the Hyuga clan saw this, they immediately rushed forward in an attempt to intercept the enemy. But the thunder pole had already rushed over, chakra surged wildly, and the whole body was covered with a thin layer of thunder and lightning chakra. As long as I'm here, no one can get there. Leiji roared, slamming his fists on the ground, wrathful Thunder King. In an instant, countless thunder and lightning rushed towards the 3 ninjas of the Hyuga clan like galloping cheetahs. Seeing this, the 3 ninjas could only avoid the edge temporarily. This special Jonin who was desperate was not easy to deal with and was a bit troublesome. However, they were not vegetarians. After avoiding the attack of the furious Thunder King, they threw countless shurikens and kunchi. Phew, laugh. The escaping ninja paused, staggered slightly, gritted his teeth and endured the pain as he continued to run away. On his back, 2 shurikens were inserted into his waist, and blood was constantly flowing down. In the end, they failed to intercept this man, and the 3 ninjas of the Hyuga clan were also angry. No matter what, the mission must be completed this time. At the moment, with the help of the 3 ninja Byakugan, they used the gentle fist method to fight this special Jonin on an equal footing, and gradually tended to suppress him. A few hundred meters away from the place where they fought, Luo Chuan hid behind the trees and watched their fight. His white eyes were already open. After noticing the ninja escaping, he pursued decisively, taking a circuitous route from the outside. Konoha shinobi, the Hyuga clan, they almost couldn't escape. The ninja who had been running for more than 20 kilometers stopped, sat down against a tree, and pulled out the kunai on his shoulder and the shuriken on his back with his backhand. 3 streams of blood suddenly shot out. Cloud shinobi, who was taking a nap against a tree, breathed a sigh of relief for the time being. The battle over there wouldn't end so soon. Now that he had consumed a lot of energy, he could just take this opportunity to recover a little before continuing on his way. Looking around, I couldn't say it was safe here, but it wasn't dangerous either. When escaping just now, they took several detours, which was enough for the 3 ninjas to search for a while. Relieved, the ninja began to quickly restore chakra. But when he looked up inadvertently, the scene in front of him made him jump in fright. I saw a child hanging upside down on the trunk of the tree he was leaning on, staring directly at him. Cloud shinobi was startled and rolled over. The shock stabilized, and the frightened Cloud shinobi looked at the other party with horrified eyes. Just when he relaxed, he encountered this strange scene, which shook his nerves severely. At this moment, the child suddenly showed a strange smile, suddenly ejected from the tree trunk, and came to him in an instant. Gentle fist method 8 trigrams 64 palms. Bang bang bang. Luo Chuan chakra is condensed in the palm of the hand, and the palms are released one after another, as fast as the wind and as fast as lightning. Under the shadow of palms all over the sky, Cloud Shinobi finally came back to his senses. Just when he was about to resist, the palms had already fallen on him. Puff! Cloud Shinobi had no time to resist, and the 64 palms were struck in an instant. He was already injured, and now coupled with the real bombardment of gentle fist, a mouthful of old blood couldn't help but spurt out, and his body fell several meters away. How could? Cloud Shinobi, who fell to the ground, looked at Luo Chuan, who was slowly walking towards him. The shock and fear in his eyes were obvious. How could a child, have so much power? 8 trigrams 64 palms, this is not a trick that a child can use. However, what he saw in front of him made him unable to believe it. Laugh. 3 kunai flew over and penetrated his head, throat, and heart in an instant. Cloud Shinobi's body trembled and became silent. The Chunin level Cloud Shinobi completely disappeared in this instant. Luo Chuan walked to his side, reached out and took out a scroll from the corpse, opened it, made a seal and pressed his palm on the scroll. Untie. White smoke rose from the scroll, and a pair of white eyes appeared in sight. Luo Chuan grabbed the eyes and looked directly at them with his opened white eyes. The person killed among the Hyuga clan was a special Jonin, an elite ninja who was about to break through to the Jonin level. His Byakugan has been open for more than 30 years, and the pair of Byakugan in front of him contains his lifelong power. Byakugan is a secret treasure inherited by the Hyuga clan, although only members of the clan can have these eyes. But to outsiders, these eyes mean a lot. Many ninjas in the ninja world covet Konoha's Sharingan and Byakugan. 2 of the 3 major eye techniques are located in Konoha. Jealous. No ninja village wants to see such a situation. These 2 blood inheritance limits can provide huge help to any village. Plundering the boundaries of blood successors is a taboo in the ninja world, but it is also something that many ninja villages are doing secretly. Cloud Shinobi Village's purpose for wanting Byakugan is obvious, that is to study the secret of Byakugan and create an ninjutsu to deal with Byakugan. Even by cloning the Byakugan, Cloud Shinobi Village can have a large number of Byakugan blood succession limited owners. Now the plan is revealed and Bai Yan falls into the hands of Luo Chuan. Rather than giving someone else an advantage, it's better to be the source of energy for me to improve my pupil power. At that moment, chakra was injected into his own white eyes, and a large amount of pupil power spread out, appearing in a form that was invisible to the naked eye. The pair of white eyes in his hand also emitted dazzling pupil power at this time. Ninja technique Blood Devour. Whispering in a low voice, the pupil power in the white eyes surged into his eyes in a form visible to the naked eye. The power of Byakugan's pupils seemed to fall into the abyss, being absorbed by him continuously. The absorption process is very simple. The pupil power enters the body through his eyes, combines with the chakra, travels around the body and then converges into the eyes. The pupil power is good, but I'm afraid it will take a lot of pupil power to advance. Luo Chuan secretly thought to himself that the upgraded Byakugan can absorb the blood successor's ability. Judging from the current situation, other blood successors should be in the same form when absorbing. The white eye that was originally in his hand has disappeared, but it has completely turned into pupil power and been absorbed. His upgraded Byakugan is slightly different. Judging from the pupil power absorbed at this moment, it only increases the pupil power of his Byakugan a little, and it is not as rapid as imagined. Although he was a little disappointed, one detail cheered him up. The more difficult it was to advance, the more it proved the potential of this ability. Moreover, no matter what kind of blood inheritance limit it is, as long as it is absorbed, it will turn into his pupil power. In this case, the range that can be improved is suddenly expanded. When the pupil power reaches ultimate, it will definitely be able to advance. Also, as the upgraded Byakugan's ability increases, the dust escape power also has a tendency to fluctuate. Could it be that the absorbed blood succession limit can enhance the power of dust escape? Exciting news, it is really surprising that after swallowing the power of Byakugan, it can produce so many effects. Dust escape is a completely different kind of power from Byakugan, it is the elimination of blood inheritance. The upgraded dust escape's abilities are to destroy, devour, and annihilate, targeting the soul and space. The Byakugan swallows the blood succession limit, which boils down to these abilities. However, if the upgraded Byakugan and dust release abilities are simply used, that would be an insult to these two powers. He planned to transform and study the two powers in his mind, and made several seals in his hands. Fire-style Great Fireball Technique. A huge fireball spurted out, chakra continued to output, high-temperature flames burned on the dead ninja, and a smell of meat wafted. The high-temperature flames scorched Cloud Shinobi's flesh and skin, turning him into Kurozumi, leaving only a skeleton. After disposing of the corpse, he used flames again to burn the surrounding trees, and then quickly evacuated the place. You should return to the Hyuga clan now, otherwise you will be in constant trouble if someone discovers the clues. About an hour after he left, the three original ninjas from the Hyuga clan rushed over, and their expressions changed when they saw the scene. No, someone got ahead of me. Elite Chunin, who led the team, had an ugly face. The surrounding flames had gradually extinguished. The trees were burned and fell to the ground. Among the fallen trees, the skeleton stood out. Judging from the surrounding situation, it has been some time since the battle ended, and people have evacuated here. If they want to find it again, I am afraid it will be like looking for a needle in a haystack, with little hope. Sir, find this person, Bayan must not fall into the hands of foreigners. Yes, the two subordinates responded, opened their eyes, and left to look for traces of the enemy. Elite Chunin stayed behind. After observing nearby to no avail, he shook his head and said secretly, who could it be? After taking it away, he deliberately erased the traces. This behavior seems to be to hide his identity. It is unlikely that he is a foreigner. Is it from the village? Thinking of this possibility, Elite Chunin looked in the direction of Konoha and hurried over. However, he chased him all the way to the gate of Konoha and asked the ninja guarding the gate. He didn't find any suspicious characters. Then he returned to the forest unwillingly and continued to look for the enemy. The Byakugan is too important to the Hyuga clan. Even if there is little hope, they will persevere. Returning to the Hyuga clan, Luo Chuan returned to his room without disturbing anyone. The shadow clone was lifted, and the guards did not notice anything wrong, nor did they notice how Luo Chuan came here from the outside. Even the ninjas patrolling Konoha's towering fortifications did not notice him. How to get in and out of Konoha? Tongli, Chendon, I don't know when I can truly master these two powers. After muttering something in his mouth, Luo Chuan entered the chakra extraction state, continuously extracting energy from the cells of the body, and then combining it with spiritual energy. The chakra in the body is slowly rising. In the noisy classroom, the preparatory ninjas who came to school in the afternoon had no worries about real ninjas and were playing and laughing with each other. They have never experienced a life of endurance and do not understand what they will face in their future lives. The life of these 11 or 12-year-old students is obviously much easier. As long as they pass this year, they will take the graduation assessment. After passing the assessment, they will become a genin. There are still a few students like Luo Chuan who transferred here at the age of 8. For example, Makoto is about the same, and Kushina is even a little younger than Luo Chuan. But some special circumstances still brought her to this class, so the ages in this class are not equal. However, they are just children. It is the nature of children to be noisy. The carefree life always makes people lament that time flies by, and it seems that there is not enough time in the day to play. A new day started. Kushina arrived at the classroom a little earlier than usual. She could be said to be the first student to arrive in the classroom. After being busy for a while, Kushina sat down in her seat with satisfaction. Luo Chuan almost entered the classroom at the last second, and leisurely took his two younger brothers to his seat. Hiyashi and the two had already sat down. Luo Chuan looked at the table and chairs, and finally looked at Kushina, who was peeking out of the corner of his eye. A faint smile flashed in his eyes, and he sat down with his head lowered. Chakra refining continues. The eternal law, as long as there is time, chakra refining will not stop. Kushina smiled when she saw him sitting down. She turned her head and looked at Luo Chuan lying on the desk and laughed silently. The scene was a bit strange. But for a while, she didn't see Luo Chuan looking up at her. He waved his fist angrily and said to himself, "When you cry later, hey, the crying boy is really looking forward to it, Bingshan." Kushina turned her head and continued to listen to the class. Kushina seemed to be in a happy mood, but she never noticed Luo Chuan lying on the desk next to her, with a strange curve in the corner of his mouth. Little Pepper, people are doing it, God is watching, the ups and downs in life always come very quickly. After thinking about it, the refined rhythm of chakra continued. A few positions ahead, Uchiha Fugaku turned his head and stared at his position bitterly, gritting his teeth, and his eyes seemed to burst out with anger. The teacher who gave the lecture knew about the grudge between the two. In view of their aloof status, he could only pretend to be deaf and dumb, pretending not to have seen it. The afternoon class ended in this weird atmosphere. When the bell rang, Kushina almost cheered. After the teacher left the classroom, Kushina stood up with a bang, pulled out the chair, stepped on the chair with her delicate little feet, and put one hand across her knees, looking like a little bully. Some students saw this and left the classroom in a very conspicuous manner. This kind of thing is not fun. Kushina's temper is too cruel. There were only a few people left, and a few people slowly walked over. Hyuga Luo Chuan, Kushina shouted. Luo Chuan suddenly raised his head and looked at Kushina with his white eyes. This shocked Kushina. Why did this guy roll his eyes? As for such a big reaction. But when he thought that the other party had entered the trap, he calmed down again, put one hand on his waist, and said with a dark smile, HMPH, hey, you also have today, I dare you to bully me, I dare you to you ignored me, you fell into the trap now. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Oh, it's strange that a genius from the Hyuga clan can still fall into a trap. Uchiha Fugaku immediately made a sarcastic comment when he heard this, and finally walked to Makoto's side, seeming to be saying something. But judging from Makoto's resistant look, it was obvious that the exchange between the two was not pleasant. As soon as Hiyashi heard what he said, he wanted to rush over to argue, but was stopped by Luo Chuan's eyes and stopped bitterly. Kushina was not so thoughtful and did not notice these things. She only knew that she was in a very happy mood at the moment, as if she was among flowers, and her whole body was about to fly. Fell into a trap. What are you talking about? Luo Chuan couldn't hide the smile in his eyes. This little pepper was a bit too naive. Kushina didn't notice the abnormality and laughed loudly. Of course it's the glue I put on the desk and chair. You idiot didn't notice it and sat there all afternoon. You're really stupid, haha. Now you please beg me, please, and I will help you. Please. Luo Chuan's face looked strange, and Kushina snorted heavily. Call me aunt, and I will consider helping you get it out. Otherwise, you can just wait here until tomorrow. You too, if you dare to help him, then give him all be careful. They all started to threaten openly. Hiyashi and Hazashi looked at each other. This little ancestor seemed to be a bit cruel. Still not barking. Kushina was anxious. Even though he was talking about this, why didn't he speak? He's really not a good man to be so stubborn. Is this the glue you're talking about? Luo Chuan stood up, reached into Kushina's desk drawer and took a can of glue, and poured it directly onto her desk and chair. Wait, stood up. Kushina was stunned, with her mouth open and her face full of disbelief. At this moment, Luo Chuan suddenly pressed her shoulders, made her sit on the chair, and at the same time pressed her hands together on the desk. Ah, you, let me go, let me go. Kushina was like a tinderbox that exploded immediately. However, Luo Chuan ignored her angry shouts and looked relaxed. Kushina got angry and said, why weren't you stuck by the glue? You are cheating. Huh, cheating. Luo Chuan smiled slightly and said, don't use such clumsy methods in the future. The ninjas of the Hyuga clan can release chakra through acupuncture points all over the body. They discovered your little trick early on, so there is no need to explain. So many. Kushina was dumbfounded. Had she discovered it early? Did you discover it early in the morning? Idiot, stinky man. I found out early in the morning, and he actually played tricks on her, making her happy all afternoon. Is this doubting her IQ? Just stay here and be honest. Someone may come to you later, but who knows where you are? Luo Chuan lowered his voice and was so angry that Kushina wanted to jump up and beat her up, but the glue had already taken effect and her clothes were stuck, so she couldn't get up at all. Hyuga Luo Chuan, I must teach you a lesson and beat you until you cry and beg your aunt to let you go. Luo Chuan shrugged his shoulders and ignored it. Uchiha Fugaku, when did the dignified young leader of the Uchiha clan also engage in coercion? It really ruins the name of the Uchiha clan. Fugaku, who was pestering Makoto, glared at this with hatred. Hyuga Luo Chuan is a person he will never forget. It was this guy who embarrassed the Uchiha clan, humiliated him, and almost sent him to hell. Now you dare to come out to hinder his good deeds. Do you really think he is easy to bully? He opened his mouth to speak, but Luo Chuan rushed ahead and continued. The recognized geniuses of the Uchiha family are sometimes blind. I wonder what this Sharingan was born to do. Is it just for walking at night? Come on. Uchiha Fugaku gritted his teeth. Was this guy retaliating for what he said just now? Asshole. Strength slaps you in the face. This is strength slaps you in the face. I really didn't see clearly just now. Luo Chuan's movements were very obscure. How could he observe them? When I heard Kushina's words again, I naturally thought that he had fallen into a trap. Unexpectedly, this was just the other party acting. HMPH. You really care about her and don't care about her. Uchiha Fugaku snorted and walked away. Now he had no shame to stay here. He left angrily, the anger in his heart burning with nowhere to vent. Makoto breathed a sigh of relief. He was finally gone and could finally relax for a while. She is also a member of the Uchiha clan, but unfortunately, she is just an ordinary clansman. She is helpless against a young clan leader like Uchiha Fugaku, and there is nothing she can do against them. No matter how uncomfortable she was, she could only endure it and try to avoid the other party's entanglement. Thank you, classmate Luo Chuan. Makoto thanked her sincerely, responded with a gentle smile, stood up and bowed slightly, showing everyone's style. Luo Chuan smiled and said, Makoto, you are joking. You don't need to be polite when dealing with bullies like that. If he pesters you again in the future, just tell him. Makoto just smiled and did not answer his words. Classmate Luo Chuan, classmate Kushina, she. It's okay, someone will come looking for her, don't worry. It's getting late, it's time to go back. Luo Chuan said nothing, turned around and left. Hiashi, two standard followers, would naturally not be left behind. Makoto looked at the angry Kushina and smiled apologetically. Kushina-kun, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Snort. Kushina snorted depressedly and turned her head, with endless grievance in her eyes. Makoto was also embarrassed, and finally chose to leave. Someone will come looking for her anyway, so there shouldn't be any problem, right? As night fell, Luo Chuan, who had taken a comfortable bath, came to the lobby of the annex and had a conversation with Hiashi Hazashi, who came to ask for advice on his gentle fist experience, and then they left the annex. There is still a lot of room for development of Gentle Fist's power. Before reaching the level of a true powerhouse, it is simply impossible to realize the powerful potential of Gentle Fist. But now he only has the power to fight elite Chunin, how can he use it? After thinking about it, Luo Chuan stopped thinking about refining chakra and suddenly thought of Kushina. She should have been taken back by someone now, right? Judging from her fierce personality, she must hate him to death now, and it seems that she will be annoyed in the future. Thinking about it, Luo Chuan always felt a little uneasy, so he climbed over the Hyuga mansion and rushed towards the school. It was dark inside the ninja school at night, and there was no movement. Kushina thought that he should be taken back by someone, but he still walked into the school and came to the teaching building. There were only a few flickering lights in the dark school. Luo Chuan listened at the door of the classroom. Although it was through the door panel, he could still hear a little movement inside. She hasn't gone back yet. Byakugan opened, and when he took a closer look, it turned out to be Kushina. Luo Chuan gathered his breath, slowly opened the classroom door and slipped in. When he walked in, he saw Kushina lying on the table, sobbing slightly and saying to herself, Mom, it would be great if you were by my side right now, you know. I was bullied by a bad guy during this time. His name is Hyuga Luo Chuan, he is a complete bad guy, and he trapped me in the classroom. Mother, you must protect me and let me beat him so hard that he will cry for father and mother. Oh no, it is still mother. Let him take it away. Well, that's it. Luo Chuan's face turned green when he heard this. This little pepper, she was obviously against him in every way, but she still slandered him in front of her dead mother and asked her mother to take him away. That's enough. At this time, Kushina's stomach suddenly growled. She shrank her stomach and whispered softly, Mom, I'm starving to death. If someone brings delicious food down from the sky at this time, then I will definitely listen to him. As a man, I promise to marry him in the future. As for a woman, I don't mind having with her. At worst, I can adopt a child in the future. Well, a bowl of ramen would be great, preferably my favorite large seafood ramen. The corners of Luo Chuan's mouth curled up, and he almost couldn't help laughing. This little pepper is really easy to make people laugh. However, little girls are little girls, and they are so easily satisfied. Luo Chuan thought for a while, his expression changed, and he slowly exited the classroom. Not long after, Luo Chuan came to the street. It was now around 9 o'clock in the evening. There were fewer pedestrians, but many shops were not closed yet. Ichiraku ramen. Luo Chuan ordered a large portion of seafood ramen, packed it up quickly, and returned to school with the hot ramen. When we returned to school, Kushina was still in the classroom and had not left. She was selected as a Nine-Tails Jinchuriki candidate and came to Konoha. It stands to reason that there would be many Anbu protecting her secretly. Now that she didn't go back so late and Anbu didn't come to look for her, Luo Chuan couldn't figure it out. Could it be that Anbu was so relieved that she would stay here as a little girl? Gently pushing open the classroom door, Byakugan could see Kushina lying on the desk in the dark night. After thinking about it, he turned on the classroom lights. Snap! The lights in the classroom came on in response. Kushina, who was lying on the desk, felt the presence of the lights. She was startled and raised her head. After adapting to the dark night environment and suddenly encountering light, her eyes felt a little uncomfortable. She wanted to raise her hands to cover them, but her hands were firmly stuck with glue. She could only half close her eyes and squint to observe. In the haze, a figure that looked both young and tall came towards her, making her panic and expectant. The figure stopped when he walked in front of her, seeming to be observing her. Kushina didn't dare to move or speak casually. It took a while before her vision recovered. After seeing the person clearly, Kushina was startled, her face darkened immediately. She glared at Luo Chuan fiercely, and said angrily, "What are you doing here? I don't want to see you, go away, you bad guy." Luo Chuan, however, acted as if he hadn't heard anything. He looked around as if he was looking for something. He shook his head and murmured to himself, "It's strange. When we were refining chakra just now, a little girl said that we only need a big bowl. When the seafood ramen came over, she promised the man that she would marry him in the future. The woman didn't mind Lily, she just wanted to adopt a child in the future. Where are they now?" Quote. Kushina was startled, her nose moved, and suddenly she smelled the familiar and fragrant smell of ramen. She couldn't help but swallow her saliva, and her stomach protested even stronger. Looking at the large portion of seafood ramen held in Luo Chuan's hand, and thinking about what Luo Chuan said, his face turned red and his mind became a little confused. Did what she just said really reach his ears? Impossible, how could such a nonsense happen? However, if it is true. But Luo Chuan seemed to have just discovered Kushina at this time, and asked in confusion, "Hey, why is it you? Why are you still here? Could it be that you said those words?" Kushina blushed, turned her head and hummed, "That kind of idiotic thing is not what my aunt said, you can continue to fantasize." Luo Chuan smiled secretly, "Wasn't it the little pepper who said that idiot's words?" "Yes, it's not like you can say such gentle words," Luo Chuan said with a smile. Kushina got angry all of a sudden, "What do you mean? Does this mean she is not gentle? Humph, why should a woman be so gentle? Living yourself is the truth. Idiot, bad guy, you are." At this moment, Luo Chuan handed over the ramen in his hand and said calmly, "It's a pity that we couldn't find that gentle girl. Kushina, otherwise I'll give it to you. This is special Ichiraku ramen, it tastes great." Quote. Kushina snorted heavily and never turned her head, "I won't eat your ramen, I'm not hungry." Gu. Having said that, Neihi's belly's reaction was very real, revealing her current state. "I see, that's such a pity. The ramen needs to be eaten while it's hot to feel the pure taste. It won't taste good when it's cold. In that case, just throw it away," Luo Chuan said with a little regret, pretending to throw the ramen out of the window. "Ah, you, what are you doing?" Kushina couldn't help but ask. Luo Chuan smiled lightly and said, "Of course I threw it away." Since you are not hungry and I have eaten dinner, I can only throw it away. Kushina was confused, biting her lower lip and looking at the ramen in Luo Chuan's hand. It was getting late now, and the shops outside were gradually closing. It might be difficult to find a place to eat. If she really threw away the bowl of ramen now, she would have to go through the night hungry. Goo goo. His belly was protesting again. This time the sound was so loud that it was impossible for Luo Chuan to pretend not to hear it. Kushina blushed to the base of her ears and wanted to find a hole in the ground to crawl into. Luo Chuan was already smiling in his heart. He put the ramen on the desk and said, "Stop being stubborn and eat it. You should be hungry after such a long time." Kushina was confused and looked at the ramen with squinting eyes, falling into a state of conflict between heaven and man. If you eat, don't you have to fulfill your promise? If you don't eat, you'll probably starve to death. It's up to you, just eat when you're hungry, it's that simple. Luo Chuan's calm words made Kushina's entanglement disappear. She was furious and said angrily, "How can you eat when you see me like this? Idiots are idiots." "Oh, I got it," Luo Chuan said, picking up the chopsticks, picking up the ramen and bringing it to her mouth. Kushina stared at him for a while, snorted, then opened her mouth and ate the ramen. This was the moment she started eating. The protest from her stomach made her eat faster, and she finished the bowl of ramen in a short time. "Ah, so comfortable, I feel alive," Kushina said with satisfaction. Suddenly, she remembered that this hateful guy was still here, and stared at him fiercely. "HMPH, I won't let you go easily. Hyuga Luo Chuan, today's things are not over yet, I let you bully me, I will make you regret it. They say eating people has a soft mouth, but why is your mouth so hard? However, you can also grow a beard after eating a bowl of ramen, which is a good skill." As he spoke, he gently picked up 2 small pieces of kelp on the other person's face with his chopsticks and waved them in front of her. Kushina was embarrassed and unhappy, so she looked away and stopped talking. Luo Chuan also accepted it as soon as he could. He originally came over to see her tonight because he was worried about her being alone in the classroom. Now it was time to let her go back. "I'll let you go back before it's too late." As he spoke, his eyes opened, chakra threads formed on his fingertips, and he cut the solidified glue against the table and chair. Kushina now understands that this guy didn't let her out just now, but was watching her jokes. "Okay, then grandma, there's no need to be embarrassed. Hyuga Luo Chuan, I'm not done with you." Kushina jumped up like a cat whose tail was stepped on, and walked out of the door angrily. Boom. Haha, you really are a brainless little pepper. Isn't it a big hit now? Kushina was so angry that she walked straight without looking at the road. Without thinking, she bumped into the door frame. She screamed and fell backwards, her butt firmly hitting the ground. "Ah, it hurts." Kushina covered her forehead with one hand and her buttocks with the other. Tears flashed from the pain and she was about to cry. Luo Chuan walked over slowly, looked down at the embarrassed Kushina, and said, "You can walk so carelessly. I don't know how you have survived in the past few years. Idiot, it's all because of you." Kushina felt wronged. She felt so painful that she wanted to cry. Why did this guy hurt her so much? Not very good at taking care of people. Of course, things always go wrong. Luo Chuan leaned down, put one hand under her armpit, and the other hand through the crook of her leg, and hugged her up. Kushina was stunned for a moment after being picked up, but quickly came to her senses and struggled violently. "Ah, let me go, you idiot, pervert, and wretched man." "Okay." As she said, Luo Chuan let go and Kushina's body suddenly fell downwards. Kushina was so frightened that she turned pale. She grabbed her hands randomly, but she still couldn't catch this guy's body. Desperate, if you fall like this, not only will your bones fall apart, but if you hit your head, won't you become a fool in the future? However, Luo Chuan suddenly squatted down and hugged her again when she was about to fall to the ground. Kushina instinctively stretched out her hands and hugged his neck tightly, looking panicked, fearing that the other party would let go again. "Do you still want me to let go now?" "No, not anymore." Kushina had a little vibrato and her face turned pale. She was obviously very frightened and she dared to have an attack. Luo Chuan then hugged her and walked outside, walking slowly and slowly. Kushina's body is very light and has no weight to him, like holding a doll. There was silence all the way, and Kushina didn't take the initiative to speak. She just peeked her eyes from time to time and then quickly withdrew. What a strange guy. He actually scared my aunt. I'll teach you a lesson later. Grinning secretly, Kushina felt a lot more comfortable and relaxed. Her eyelids suddenly felt heavy, and she yawned involuntarily, falling into a drowsy state. After a while, Kushina fell asleep in his arms, and Luo Chuan's steps slowed down a little, and his walking became much smoother. After arriving at Kushina's residence, Luo Chuan shook the sleeping Kushina and said, "It's time for you to come down." Kushina's eyes were half opened, sleepy and exhausted. Luo Chuan put her down, and her body swayed a bit and almost fell down. She finally managed to stand upright and her spirits recovered a little. Only then did she remember what had just happened. It seemed that she had slept in his arms all the way. If she looked carefully, she could also find a little water stain on the chest of his clothes. That was her glorious record. Her face turned red involuntarily. Kushina turned away and said, "Please send me back." "Oh, no need." Luo Chuan smiled lightly. It was a very interesting night. As soon as Kushina heard this, she turned around and walked into the house. "I'm not thanking you." Luo Chuan smiled casually, glanced at one place, and then turned around and left. There were only a few small lights swaying in the wind on the slightly lonely street, flashing a few times from time to time. Luo Chuan stopped and said, "Show up, we're all following you, aren't you ready to take action?" Without any warning, Luo Chuan's white eyes had already opened, and the chakra flowing around him was under the observation of his white eyes. Whoosh! A ninja wearing a ninja vest and a mask appeared in front of him. There was no forehead protector mark on his head, making it difficult to tell which force he belonged to. "When did you discover me?" The ninja's voice was like a mechanically synthesized voice, and it was difficult to tell his age. In the eyes of the ninja, besides calmness, there was also a hint of surprise. A child could actually detect him following him. This is unlikely, right? But after seeing those white eyes that had opened, I suddenly realized. In front of these eyes, there is no difference between following the opponent at close range and strutting in front of the opponent. I've discovered it since I walked out of the ninja school. Luo Chuan's words made Ninja's eyes move. Did he notice it when he came out of ninja school? At that time, the child may not have opened his Byakugan, so how did he discover it? "How did you find me without opening your Byakugan?" "You talk too much." Luo Chuan didn't answer his question. He moved his hands back, and 2 kunai fell into his hands. The ninja didn't get angry, took out a kunai and rushed forward without saying a word. "Call out." As he rushed over, Luo Chuan threw a kunai out of his hand. At the same time, he followed suit. With a shake of his hand, another kunai appeared in his empty hand. Ding! The kunai thrown out did not pose any threat to the ninja. It easily bounced off and inserted into the wall on one side. Then the two jumped up at the same time, their figures intertwined, and they landed on the ground and turned around quickly. Neither of them launched another attack, but were looking for the other's flaws. A brief confrontation, without any casualties, seemed to be a bit evenly matched. However, Luo Chuan was extremely vigilant in his heart. This ninja was not simple. He was not the Chunin he had encountered before, but a real elite Chunin. Facing elite Chunin head-on for the first time, he felt a little bit expectant but also cautious. He has absolute confidence in his own strength, but he must not underestimate his enemies. This is true for any enemy. Elite Chunin couldn't hide his shock. How could this kid react so fast? Can you avoid his attack in one fell swoop? Not a simple kid, an interesting kid. Whoosh! Elite Chunin took the lead in attacking, flicking his left hand and shooting out several shurikens. Luo Chuan did not resist head-on, but directly body flicker technique avoided the opponent's shuriken attack. Seeing this, Elite Chunin's advancing body suddenly stopped, turned around quickly, and stabbed with kunai. Ding! Kunai's attack is difficult to move forward, Elite Chunin's reaction speed is very fast, and Luo Chuan cannot finish the opponent immediately. Even if you have the power to fight Elite Chunin, it will still take a certain amount of time. Moreover, some abilities cannot be used now. If they are used, they will suffer great disaster. Elite Chunin blocked the attack from the back and quickly kicked out, directly towards the opponent's chest. Seeing this, Luo Chuan withdrew his kunai and drew it towards the opponent's souls. Whoosh! The two retreated at the same time, and Elite Chunin chose to retreat sideways when he saw kunai defending. Although the ninja can avoid the attack of kunai, it is difficult to resist the attack of kunai and shuriken. Many powerful ninjas ended up dying with humble shuriken and other ninja tools, especially on the battlefield. Ninja tools were flying all over the sky, and countless powerful ninjas died in hatred. Unless they are strong in physical skills, ordinary ninjas would not dare to go head-to-head with these ninja tools. Ding ding ding. The two people who retreated struck again, and the ninja tools were thrown out at the same time, making a clear and sweet sound in the air. It was getting late now, and there were no pedestrians on this street. The two were fighting very quickly, as if they were engaging in a speed duel, and only a few sparks could be seen flying in the air. Luo Chuan's strength is already very strong for a person of his age, and he is qualified to be called a genius beyond genius. However, compared with those elite Chunin who have experienced countless ninja careers, his strength is still a bit lacking. With the Hyuga clan's superiority in physical skills, they are now able to fight on par with this elite Chunin. The battle lasted for just 10 minutes, and there was not much loss on either side. This situation made the elite Chunin a little anxious. If the battle in Konoha lasted too long, it would inevitably attract Anbu's attention. Although no offensive ninjutsu was used, Anbu would definitely get here after a long time. After thinking about it, he quickly retreated, threw the kunai out, and quickly formed seals with his hands. Fire-style dragon fire technique. Chakra spurts out from the throat and turns into a straight line of flames. The momentum is raging and the sound of wind and thunder is loud. When Luo Chuan flicked away the kunai, he had already noticed that the opponent was using ninjutsu, and he suddenly smiled in his heart. Were you finally able to resist using ninjutsu? Since ninjutsu is being used in Konoha, Anbu must be there in less than 5 minutes, and by then this person's identity will finally be exposed. The ninja also knew what he was thinking. After using the dragon fire technique, he formed the seal again, fire-style phoenix fire technique. After using 2 ninjutsu in a row, Luo Chuan quickly formed the seal, wind-style vacuum wave. Chakra nature transformation is of the wind attribute, spitting out transparent light waves from his mouth, as fast as bullets, and spreading like the phoenix fairy fire technique. Bow. The oncoming dragon fire technique was split in 2 from the middle, and the wind-style light wave tore the dragon fire technique apart. Call. The dragon fire technique passed through the left and right sides of Luo Chuan's body without causing any damage to him. The Phoenix Immortal Fire technique was hit one after another under the continuous vacuum wave attack, shattered into sparks and fell to the ground. Elite Chunin secretly gritted his teeth. This kid was indeed not simple. He was so skilled in using sea-level ninjutsu. Those who didn't know better thought he was an experienced Chunin. However, no matter how powerful the kid is, he is still just a kid. Time is running out. If it is delayed any longer, Anbu will arrive and he will have no chance of escape. At that moment, his hands formed seals again. Luo Chuan's eyes narrowed when he saw the jutsu formed by the other party. It turned out to be this ninjutsu. Sharingan open. Fire-style fire dragon flame bullet. A pair of 2 Tomo Sharingan instantly appeared in Chunin's eyes, and immediately a fire-style ninjutsu was used. When he saw these eyes, a trace of hatred and madness appeared in Luo Chuan's eyes. He was from the Uchiha clan again. The spell performed by the other party also frightened him. Is this guy going to fight for his life? The Uchiha clan is preparing to kill him completely. After completing the seal, Elite Chunin stood firm, his chest inflated like a balloon, and the chakra in his body was constantly condensing. Kill with 1 hit, this is what he is pursuing now. Chakra spurted out from his mouth, and a wall of fire suddenly ignited in front of him. A huge flame quickly flew out from the wall of fire. The temperature in the flame seemed to be able to burn the human body to ashes. Numerous thoughts flashed through Luo Chuan's mind. This is a B-level ninjutsu, and it is a fire-style ninjutsu used by elite Chunin of the Uchiha clan after opening Sharingan and condensing a large amount of chakra. He wants to rely on the escape techniques he has learned so far. Resistance, this may be a bit difficult. That's all. Byakugan 8 trigrams palms double revolving heaven. When the flames struck and he was attacked, a large amount of chakra was released from the chakra points in his body, as if intense blue flames were burning. Then the body rotated like a top, and the chakra formed a circular shield to protect his body as the body rotated at high speed. If you look carefully, you can find that the shield is composed of 2 layers. This is a ninjutsu he created based on Revolving Heaven. It is a brand new Revolving Heaven that can resist physical attacks and ninjutsu attacks at the same time. Call. The flames instantly swallowed up the shield, and when it hit the shield, the flames spread to the left and right, knocking away many buildings. Luo Chuan, who was in the shield, was still releasing chakra. After more than 10 seconds, the flames dissipated, and Luo Chuan's double Revolving Heaven also stopped at this time. How can it be? Seeing that Luo Chuan was not burned to ashes, Elite Chunin obviously didn't believe it. This is a B-level ninjutsu. He spent a lot of chakra to use it. How could he be fine? Senseless. Luo Chuan didn't talk nonsense. He caught the opponent's moment of confusion and quickly threw the kunai out. Laugh. Without noticing, Elite Chunin's heart was instantly penetrated, and he fell to the ground with disbelief in his eyes, blood pouring out of his mouth. It's finally solved. Luo Chuan secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at the other party's gradually dissipating vitality, an idea came to his mind. Ninja Technique Blood Devour. Chapter 31. Another upgraded Byakugan's ability, which directly absorbs the power of the eyes before Elite Chunin dies. The pupil power quickly entered his eyes from those eyes, walked around inside his body again, and finally turned into the upgraded White Eye pupil power. Elite Chunin of the Uchiha clan's eyes widened. His pupil power is disappearing. How can this be? No, this kid must have done something. However, he is basically about to die now, and he doesn't have much ability to stop the other party's actions. When the pupil power completely dissipated, a sharp light flashed in Luo Chuan's eyes. He lifted the almost consumed chakra and blasted it directly on the opponent's head, blowing the opponent's head directly. After doing this, Luo Chuan stood up, but his body shook and he almost fell to the ground. The battle with Elite Chunin consumed a lot of chakra, especially the use of double Revolving Heaven, which drained nearly 2/3 of his chakra. At this moment, the chakra was almost dry. Double Revolving Heaven is a ninjutsu developed by the upgraded Byakugan. It adds chakra nature transformation to the most basic Revolving Heaven, thereby tearing apart and isolating the enemy's ninjutsu. Such a move requires a large amount of chakra, so his chakra is almost dry. Anbu will definitely arrive soon, and you must leave immediately before Anbu arrives. Otherwise, it will be a bit troublesome if Anbu arrives. However, just as he was about to leave, a warning signal suddenly arose in his heart, causing him to quickly turn around. In front of him, a ninja who also activated 2 Tomo Sharingan rushed over. Even though Luo Chuan was calm, he couldn't help but curse. Another one came. When the ninja rushed over, he threw out a few shurikens. Luo Chuan saw this and quickly body flicker technique avoided it. When he stopped, he wanted to take out the kunai to attack, but suddenly found that the ninja tools had been used up in the previous battle. In desperation, Luo Chuan could only stand up and be careful. Now we can only wait for Anbu's people to come here, otherwise he may be in danger this time. The chakra consumes too much, and unless one hit is successful, there is absolutely no way to kill this guy. As if he noticed Luo Chuan's embarrassment, the ninja walked over with a sneer and said disdainfully, "Kid, let me finish you off this time. You should thank me for letting you escape from this painful world as soon as possible." "Yeah," Luo Chuan answered with a calm expression, and put his hands together to form a triangle. This ninja was a young ninja, probably in his early 20s. The ninja was even more sarcastic after seeing it, and said, "Kid, can you still use ninjutsu? Well, are you going to use 3-body technique? C-level ninjutsu? Hehe, I can't waste time with you, go and talk to Shinigami, let's chat." After saying that, he took out a kunai and stabbed him directly. However, a mocking smile appeared on Luo Chuan's lips. Chen escape returned to the realm. A flash of white light condensed between his hands, and then a careful rectangular barrier flew out, instantly covering the ninja. The ninja shrouded in the dust barrier frowned, and then smiled disdainfully, "Buy yourself time to escape. It's really ridiculous." At this time, Luo Chuan breathed a sigh of relief, patted the dust on his body, and said calmly, "Escape. No, no need. Ashes to dust, earth to earth, there is no need for the Uchiha clan to exist, then, you will become for nothingness." His plain words contained overwhelming hatred. He was attacked by 2 Uchiha clan ninjas in one night. If the last ninja hadn't obviously had a brain problem, he might really have to answer here. This account, and that account, will never end so easily. The ninja who heard what Luo Chuan said smiled coldly, but did not take his words to heart. How can a kid who has almost exhausted his chakra be able to kill him? I'll break this barrier later and see what else you have to say. However, just when he was about to take action, his clothes suddenly decomposed, and then the kunai in his hand also decomposed rapidly, and his body was decomposing. What is this? The young ninja was frightened. How could such a thing happen? How could his body decompose? However, there was no time for him to panic or think. His head also began to decompose. In just about 10 seconds, his body had been completely decomposed into molecules and dissipated into the world. Dust Escape, upgraded Dust Escape. In addition to possessing all the abilities of Uchen Escape, he also has the ability to destroy souls, swallow space, and annihilate everything. The ninja who died under the power of this Dust Escape at this moment, even with forbidden techniques such as impure world reincarnation, it cannot revive him. It can be said that this is a ninjutsu that can be permanently obliterated. Boom! The ninja died, and Luo Chuan fell to the ground, breathing heavily. All the chakra has been exhausted, and now there is no chakra left in his body. He has used a lot of powerful ninjutsu to make him mentally exhausted. Now he can sustain himself without passing out. That is already a very strong willpower. The Uchiha clan, one day I will bury you with my own hands. Being attacked by the Uchiha clan one after another, one can imagine the hatred in Luo Chuan's heart. Every time, it puts him in dangerous situations. If this account is not clear, then his heart will not be at peace. Dragging his tired body, Luo Chuan slowly walked towards the mansion of the Hyuga clan. However, just as he walked less than 10 meters away, 3 people suddenly appeared in front of him and surrounded his body. Anbu. The costumes of these people are very familiar, that is, the Anbu ninjas of Konoha. I guess I came here because I noticed the fighting here. One of them, Anbu, walked to the body of the headless Uchiha clan ninja, inspected it briefly, came back, and shook his head. Come with us. Oh, where to go? Elder Danzo, please explain the matter. Danzo. Luo Chuan was shocked. It turned out to be Danzo. Wait a minute, we want this person. The Root, also known as the Anbu Training Department, is a special independent organization in Konoha, affiliated with the Special Forces of Konoha Elder Shimura Danzo. They are not under the control of Hokage or Anbu. Their uniforms are white or black cloaks, and the masks on their faces are also diverse and colorful. The members of the Root have no names, no emotions, no past, no future, only tasks. The appearance of Gen Ninja shocked Luo Chuan. Why did that guy Danzo show up at this time? Just when he was feeling a little anxious, the appearance of another team Anbu made him relieved. This is the Anbu ninja who belongs to the 3rd Hokage. As long as they appear, the members of the Root do not dare to act recklessly. 4 Anbu ninjas appeared, overwhelming the Root ninjas in numbers, and a verdict was made. Lord Hokage has an order to bring Hyuga Luo Chuan back to the Hokage building. The one who spoke was Anbu wearing a fox mask. His words revealed their purpose and the person behind them who gave them the mission. The Root ninja was silent. Danzo's order was to bring back Hyuga Luo Chuan. Now that Hokage has an order, what should we do? The apparent leader of Konoha is the 3rd Hokage, and this is something that no one can change. Although Danzo secretly competed with 3rd Hokage, it also caused many obstacles. But he didn't dare to face him in a showdown, otherwise Danzo would be surrounded by the entire Konoha. Considering the popularity of Hokage, General Ninja left at the same time body flicker technique and no longer stayed here. Hyuga Luo Chuan, come with us. Okay. Luo Chuan answered readily that it would be much better to meet Hokage than Danzo. Following this Anbu, the remaining Anbu disposed of the body and restored the scene. Hokage building. Luo Chuan followed Anbu here. The first thing he saw after entering the office was the 3rd Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, sitting behind the desk. Now is the second meeting. The last meeting was after killing a Chunin from the Uchiha clan, and this time, he also killed 2 ninjas from the Uchiha clan. The only pity is that the ninja who appeared later was also an elite Chunin, but he was instantly killed by dust release and failed to absorb his Sharingan pupil power, otherwise Byakugan would gain more pupil power. Hyuga Qianyang was originally from the Hokage camp. Luo Chuan did not have any panic about meeting the third Hokage and stood there neither humble nor arrogant. The third Hokage didn't mind Luo Chuan's attitude. The third Hokage, who was in his prime, had a strong aura all over his body, as if he was an arrogant and forbearing hero. Hyuga Luo Chuan, do you know why I asked you to come here now? Third generation Sama, please make it clear. Luo Chuan said calmly. A glint flashed in third Hokage's eyes, and he said in a deep voice, please tell me in detail what happened tonight. Akito didn't say any secret words, and third Hokage had no intention of going around in circles. Now Anbu has withdrawn from the office, and he is the only one here. Luo Chuan smiled secretly in his heart. Did the third generation discover something? Whatever. I sent Uzumaki Kushina home tonight. When I left, I encountered an enemy ninja attack. His strength was at the elite Chunin level. In the end, I killed him. Generally speaking, he should have been careless. It was a simple explanation, but the third generation old man was silent for a moment. Kill elite Chunin. What a scary kid, with such abilities at such a young age. However, this lie went too far. However, he had no intention of exposing him and said, since he is a ninja from an enemy country, have you got any information from him? There is some information. He obtained some information from Konoha. I don't know what kind of information it is. Maybe Anbu who handled the corpse will know what it is. Luo Chuan didn't make a draft when he lied, he just said one thing after another. 2 people who knew everything were pretending to be dumbfounded, and the atmosphere was a bit weird. At this moment, the office door was opened and a person walked in from the outside. A middle-aged man with black hair and gloomy eyes. Danzo. Third Hokage looked at the person coming down and frowned. What is this guy doing? Luo Chuan's heart skipped a beat when he heard the name. Shimura Danzo is here. Danzo walked in, looked directly at third generation, without even looking at Luo Chuan inside, and said, Sarutobi, leave this brat to me. There are some things that must be investigated clearly. When he came to ask for someone, third Hokage snorted, while Luo Chuan remained silent. What happened was a bit unexpected. Although Shimura Danzo was relatively active during this period, he did not dare to compete head-on with third Hokage. Everyone knows that the Hyuga clan is a supporter of the Hokage camp, and now they want to take Hyuga Luo Chuan away, which is obviously a slap in the face. Danzo, why did you take him? Third generation did not get angry, but asked calmly, looking at Shimura Danzo without giving an inch. The relationship between the two is very unusual. They have been partners since childhood, but now they are in different camps, have different ideas, and are already strangers. According to my investigation, the person Hyuga Luo Chuan killed tonight was Konoha Shinobi. He attacked and killed ninjas in the same village, which is a taboo. If he continues to remain, it will pose a serious threat to the safety of the village. A hat was put on, and Luo Chuan raised his lips. Shimura Danzo, he is indeed an old fox. But third Hokage slammed the table and shouted, nonsense. What Hyuga Luo Chuan killed tonight was an enemy spy. How can he be a ninja in the village? Danzo didn't expect third generation's reaction to be so big. His face suddenly turned ugly and he said with a dark face, this is the result of my investigation. Are you doubting me? The result of your investigation. When did Gen's investigative ability surpass Anbu? Furthermore, General didn't seem to have time to investigate, right? Instead, it was the Anbu ninja who investigated the corpse, and it was indeed an enemy ninja. Sarutobi, you want to defend him. Are you doubting the Hokage's impartiality? Third Hokage really refused to give in, and the conversation between the two made Luo Chuan almost laugh. I never thought that the third Hokage would have such a hot temper. Perhaps his future character was the result of long years of training. Now, he is the ninja hero of the ninja world and the Hokage of Konoha. The third Hokage's tough attitude made Danzo look gloomy. He didn't dare to deny what the other party said, but he was also unwilling to give up. Looking at Luo Chuan, Danzo's expression was uncertain and unpredictable. However, Luo Chuan was able to detect a little bit of things with his eyes. Greed. His eyes were full of greed. The only person who can make Danzo look like this is the blood succession limit. Byakugan is one of the 3 major pupil techniques and enjoys a high reputation in the ninja world. The Hyuga clan is a prominent family in Konoha. They attach great importance to the protection of Byakugan and will not let anyone get it easily. Not even the Hokage of Konoha could make the Hyuga clan hand over the Hokage, let alone Shimura Danzo. Shimura Danzo is determined to obtain the powerful blood successor limit, and he is even studying the cells of the first Hokage in the hope of obtaining the powerful power of wood style. Now that he appeared in the Hokage office, his target was naturally Byakugan. After figuring out the key to the matter, Luo Chuan's eyes narrowed slightly, flashing a dark and fierce light. Shimura Danzo, who was looking at Luo Chuan, spoke at this time and said, "Hey, brats of the Hyuga clan, what are the details of tonight's events? Tell them clearly without any concealment. Danzo, are you preparing a threat?" The third Hokage spoke slowly, with a hint of warning. However, Shimura Danzo was not timid at all and choked back. "As the leader of the Roots, you must strictly control the security of the village. Sarutobi, are you planning to interfere with my right to execute the Elder Board? Besides, the person who asked the question knows that the easiest way to the truth. Tell it clearly, kid." Danzo walked slowly to Luo Chuan, his black pupils locked on the person in front of him. Luo Chuan sneered secretly in his heart and asked the person involved. "Then let you cry. After I sent Uzumaki Kushina back home tonight, I was attacked when I returned to the Hyuga mansion. It was initially judged that it was an enemy ninja, and it has been clearly identified. The other party got some information, but they attacked me for some unknown reason. Maybe it was the favor of the first generation, so I killed him. Now the corpse is being handled by Anbu's ninjas. As for the specific information, Anbu's people should be relatively clear. Be concise and clear in thinking." Danzo suddenly felt a little confused. Is things really the same as what Hyuga Luo Chuan said? No, it's definitely not that simple. The matter was not explained in detail, and the battle process was not explained clearly. How could we trust him? Even if he was just a kid, that would never be believed. After thinking about it, Danzo suddenly shouted, "Nonsense! Kid, what is the truth of the matter? How can you, a student of a ninja school, kill an adult ninja? Did you use some forbidden technique? Tell me right away, clearly. If it is exactly what you said, then not only will you not be dismissed, but you will also be rewarded." No one would believe that a student could kill an adult ninja. Danzo didn't believe it. He hadn't seen it with his own eyes, so how could he believe it? Danzo, do you want to mislead? This is Konoha, a harmonious family. Do you want to destroy this harmonious family now? Yes, Konoha is indeed a harmonious family. Therefore, there cannot be anyone who studies and uses forbidden technique. If you touch these at a young age, you will definitely become a person who harms Konoha in the future. Now I must take him back. I will tell you the details after the inquiry is clear. Danzo said and was about to extend his hand, but Luo Chuan came directly body flicker technique to third generation. This sudden change made Danzo stunned for a moment. Body flicker technique. Kid, you. Before he finished speaking, Luo Chuan suddenly spoke. Elder Danzo, do you mean to say that the Byakugan of my Hyuga clan is the forbidden technique? If so, the Hyuga clan will no longer use Byakugan in the future. What do you think? Danzo's face darkened, but third generation smiled. This kid is just as Qian Yang said, not someone to be trifled with. What do you mean? Still don't understand. How can the Byakugan's ability be studied thoroughly by outsiders? People who don't have the blood successor limit are trying to judge the power of the blood successor limit. That enemy ninja died under my Byakugan, how about that? The credit was pushed to the limit of blood succession, and Danzo suddenly realized that he had been bypassed. Now the focus has shifted to Byakugan. If he continues to pester, he will obviously question Byakugan's ability. And if he gives up, he will be the only one who loses face. Moreover, everything tonight will be in vain. Danzo secretly hated himself. Why was this kid so difficult to deal with? Intimidation and inducement are of no use to him. The Byakugan really made him feel envious. His reconnaissance ability, ability to seal acupuncture points, etc. were all powers he dreamed of. It may not have the powerful abilities of Sharingan, but Byakugan's ability is definitely not weak, and it is a steady ability. How could you give up so easily after working so hard for so long just to get a blank look? Kid, what you are talking about is too mysterious. I believe you will tell it soon. Third generation's expression changed and he said, Danzo, don't do this. Master Danzo, it seems a bit inappropriate to attack a child like this, right? Besides, he doesn't seem to have any intention of putting me in his eyes. A voice came from the door, and a figure walked slowly. Danzo looked over with a sullen face, his eyes moved when he saw the person coming, and he snorted. Qianyang, why are you here? The visitor was Hyuga Qianyang. After hearing the words of third Hokage, he bowed slightly and said, I heard that some people questioned my Hyuga clan's white eyes, so I came over to take a look. Unexpectedly, I saw a good show. Danzo-sama, it's really a bit disappointing to have so little confidence in the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan. I wonder what kind of blood inheritance limit Mr. Danzo thinks can be called truly powerful. Strong, absolutely strong. The sarcastic words made Danzo's face completely darken. How dare Hyuga Qianyang dare to contradict him like this? Hyuga Qianyang, is this your intention or the Hyuga clan's intention? Oh, is there a difference? So, does taking away Luo Chuan mean the elders are the root? Or, does it mean you? Hyuga Qianyang's words made Danzo's face turn pale. He was so stumbling that he couldn't answer no matter what. The third Hokage smiled upon seeing this and said, Danzo, it is a foregone conclusion that Hyuga Luo Chuan will kill the enemy's spy. There is no need to discuss this matter. Kill the enemy's spy and protect important information for Konoha. Hyuga Luo Chuan, you can make a request. As long as it is reasonable, I will agree to it. Danzo was given a heavy blow again, and the three people staged a good show to define the nature of the matter, leaving Danzo in a state of embarrassment. But he is also someone who has experienced major battles, and he quickly changed the topic, since there are enemy spies sneaking into Konoha, Sarutobi, during this period of time to strengthen defense, General will also intervene and contribute to Konoha's security, strength. Third generation pondered for a moment, but it became clear in its heart. Danzo is a guy who won't give up easily. Even if he can't achieve his goal, he will still get some benefits from another direction. Now that the root is involved to strengthen the defense, it is naturally to give the root more room for activity. If you agree, the roots will be stronger. If he refuses, he may get into trouble, which will cause constant trouble. While he was weighing the pros and cons, Luo Chuan looked at Hyuga Qianyang and nodded slightly. Hyuga Qianyang understood and looked directly at the third Hokage. The third Hokage quickly noticed his gaze and saw the indelible nod, and he breathed a sigh of relief. In this case, let Gen temporarily assist in strengthening Konoha's security. Danzo, leave the patrol of Konoha's periphery to Gen, and be sure to execute it well. Danzo weighed it again and again. Although he did not get the authority to patrol the center of Konoha, Gen's space for activities is much larger now, and many things can be carried out step by step. Naturally, he had no objection. A silent fight ended like this, and an agreement was reached, with both sides having pros and cons. Hyuga Luo Chuan, tell me what kind of reward you want. As long as it is reasonable, I will accept it. Luo Chuan lowered his head and thought for a while. The current third generation obviously wanted to give him some benefits. If nothing else, it was directed at Danzo, so he must also give him some benefits. The Hyuga clan belongs to the Hokage faction, and the third Hokage is naturally very happy to see the Hyuga clan be rewarded by Konoha. The more rewards there are, the stronger the Hokage faction becomes. He bowed his head and pondered, what kind of reward would be better? Now as a student, he doesn't seem to be lacking anything. The Hyuga clan treated him extremely well, almost like an elder. There is no need for material things, he already has countless. Then, you can only focus on rewards in terms of improving strength. Upgraded Byakugan and upgraded Dust Release are the source of power, but third generation obviously cannot provide these two power enhancements. If the upgraded Byakugan is to be improved quickly, it requires blood succession limits. It is absolutely impossible for the third generation to do these things. In the final analysis, upgraded Chendon as the strength of his own power. As he becomes stronger, the power of Chendon will also become stronger. In addition, if the Byakugan's power increases, it will have a little effect on improving the dust escape. However, third generation will not give him blood succession limit devour. Suddenly, I remembered the battle tonight. Some ninjutsu were used during the battle, but most of them were C-level ninjutsu, and there were almost no B-level ninjutsu. It's better to get some ninjutsu, which will definitely expand the skills of a geninjutsu. To maximize profits, Luo Chuan already wants what kind of rewards he should get. Hokage-sama, my chakra is somewhat good now, but I know too little about ninjutsu. The Hyuga clan is a wealthy family in taijutsu, and there is relatively little research on ninjutsu. Therefore, I hope to read the Book of Ceilings and learn a genin technique. No. Good choice. 3 people, 3 attitudes. Third Hokage couldn't help but be stunned when he heard the reward Luo Chuan wanted. Want to see the Book of Sealing? This reward is a bit special and a bit difficult to obtain. Danzo refused directly and asked to check the sealed book. That's a treatment that even he doesn't have. Hyuga Qianyang smiled. Luo Chuan has an idea. Checking the Book of Seals is indeed the most direct way to expand his knowledge of ninjutsu. There are many ninjutsu, taijutsu, and forbidden technique in the sealed book. Sarutobi, you must not let him read the sealed book. Danzo almost yelled. He was not even treated as such, and now this kid dared to ask for it. Historically, only the Hokage could read the sealed book, and the members of the Elder Council could not view the sealed book, let alone others. Upon hearing what he said, Hyuga Qianyang immediately pushed back. Danzo-sama, are you doubting Hokage-sama's promise? Or do you think Hokage can renege on his words at will? Danzo's face looked as disgusting as if he had eaten shang, and he said in a deep voice, what do you mean? What do you mean? Hyuga Qianyang snorted coldly, turned around and looked directly at the other party, and said, Master Danzo, there is no need to explain some things too clearly. Luo Chuan is a member of my Hyuga clan. Anyone who wants to touch him must ask me first. The Hyuga clan disagrees. Danzo-sama, it's getting late, and there are many spies lurking in Konoha. Please make arrangements as soon as possible, Danzo-sama. Danzo almost cursed him now. He even chased him away from Hokage's office. Is this Hyuga Chio crazy? However, after seeing Hyuga Qianyang's cold eyes, he finally chose to leave. It would not be cost-effective to have a conflict with a prestigious family like the Hyuga clan. Especially when the opponent is from the Hokage camp, it is even more dangerous. If the Hyuga clan targets Gen, they will definitely be able to find some problems with Gen, because the Byakugan is really terrifying. Just leaving like that, third generation shook his head and said, Qianyang, you are a little impulsive. Unexpectedly, Hyuga Qianyang looked indifferent and said calmly, Master third generation, you know what Danzo has done. If you want to take Luo Chuan away, you are making the entire Hyuga clan an enemy. In response to this situation, third Hokage just shook his head and smiled without saying a word. However, Luo Chuan felt a strange feeling in his heart after hearing Qian Yang's words. Hyuga Qianyang's words may have many meanings, which are difficult to understand. Hyuga Luo Chuan, this is the sealed book. Although I promised you to read it, there is a time limit. I hope you understand. You only have 5 minutes. How many ninjutsu you can learn depends on your own destiny. Where the sealed book was stored, third generation took out the sealed book, and several Jonin who were guarding the sealed book had already retreated. There are only 3 of them here, and third Hokage seems to be in good spirits. Being able to suppress Danzo is the best thing for him at this period. Hyuga Qianyang also smiled and nodded, saying, thanks to Mr. Third Generation's kindness, Luo Chuan, you have to work hard and don't let us down. With such a good thing, Luo Chuan naturally agreed. The sealed book meant a lot to him. Although it only lasted 5 minutes, it was completely enough. Thank you, Mr. Third Generation. It just caused a conflict between Mr. Third Generation and Danzo, which really makes me feel bad. No, Hokage has a golden saying. What you promised will naturally be fulfilled. Luo Chuan, you deserve this. Thank you, Mr. Third Generation. The 3 of them knew that Anbu had already reported the results of the investigation to Hokage. As for the content of the report, even Qian Yang had no way of knowing. But it can be imagined that Anbu must have investigated the identity of the deceased, but now that third generation has not revealed it, it naturally reminds him of a lot of things. Putting these things aside for now, Luo Chuan walked to the other side with the Book of Seals and directly opened the Book of Seals, with various ninjutsu written densely on it. There are many types of ninjutsu recorded in the Book of Sealings, and it is indeed difficult for a person to learn them quickly. The third generation didn't disturb him. They were communicating about something in low voices, nodding from time to time. Luo Chuan, this kid has great potential. As you said, he has a mature mind. I wonder how much ninjutsu he can learn. Hyuga Qianyang smiled a little strangely. He can learn as much as he wants. That's his destiny. Yes, he is the leader of Konoha's younger generation. I really look forward to his future development. The two were talking and laughing, and Luo Chuan over there also made new moves. Shadow Clone Technique. Opening the Book of Seals, chakra quickly mobilized, and 3 shadow clone were quickly summoned. No nonsense, shadow clone joins the ranks of memory ninjutsu. It is unrealistic to learn ninjutsu here. Memorize ninjutsu by rote and study it carefully later. When seeing shadow clone, third generation was stunned. This kid, Qianyang, you already knew about it a long time ago, right? Ninjutsu like shadow clone is not easy to master. Now that Luo Chuan used it, he understood it immediately. Seeing Qian Yang smile again, he suddenly felt like he had been trapped. However, he was still unable to fight his way out of this trap, so he could only accept it. Hyuga Qianyang didn't say anything, but just smiled like this, which made third generation feel a little depressed. What a magical child. He is able to use such a technique at such a young age. He is truly a shocking child. In today's ninja schools, there are probably no students who can compete with him. This monster-like talent is truly a genius beyond genius. At the age of 8, he has the power to kill an elite chunin, which does not exist among students of any generation. Konoha is growing vigorously. If there are a few more students like him, Konoha will be so powerful in a few years. Third generation was filled with emotion, and its eyes looking at Luo Chuan were full of expectation. 5 minutes passed quickly. The 3 shadow clones and the main figure continued to memorize ninjutsu, and finally memorized many ninjutsu. Although there are many ninjutsu, some of them have no effect on him, so he ignores them. Some of the most important ninjutsu have been memorized, and I finally closed the Book of Seals with satisfaction. 5 minutes, no more, no less, just right. After handing the sealed book to the third generation, Luo Chuan quickly returned home, and the shadow clone disappeared. As the shadow clone was released, a large number of memories suddenly flooded into his mind, making him feel a little dizzy. You're really impatient, third generation said with a smile, put away the sealed book, and returned to the Hokage building with Hyuga Qianyang, talking all night long. No one knew what the two were talking about. Hyuga residence, inside the annex. Luo Chuan returned to the room and quickly went to the bed to sit cross-legged. A large number of memories came into his mind and he needed to sort them out. Multiple shadow clone technique, flying thunder god technique, ghoul seal, impure world reincarnation, water severing wave, so many ninjutsu, it is worthy of being a book of seals. There are many ninjutsu in the Book of Sealings. Now he cannot understand these ninjutsu, he just relies on his memory to memorize them. If you want to exert the true power of these powerful ninjutsu, it will take a long time to become familiar with it. Only by mastering it proficiently can you fully exert the power of ninjutsu. After calming down, Luo Chuan entered into the study of ninjutsu, which was much more interesting than in the ninja school. After digesting, understanding, and summarizing each ninjutsu, Luo Chuan didn't stop until the sun rose in the east. It's too profound. It can't be understood thoroughly in a short while. It can only be done step by step. I spent a whole night digesting these ninjutsus, but there were so many ninjutsus and they were so profound that it was impossible to learn the essence in a short while, so I could only sigh secretly. The creation of every ninjutsu is created by the creator who has put in countless efforts behind the scenes. It is indeed a lot easier for people to learn without this step. He is not satisfied with just using these ninjutsu. Creating his own ninjutsu is the most interesting thing. I have learned a lot about the basic theory of ninjutsu, and most of the ninjutsu that need to be created are actually related to Byakugan and dust release. These two powers can produce many techniques and have great potential. Like the previous dust release and return to the realm, it was a ninjutsu he created that killed an elite chunin in one blow. Ninja school, in the classroom. Uzumaki Kushina had already arrived in the classroom early in the morning and put things in the drawer with an inexplicable smile on her face. After sitting down, Kushina looked at the door of the classroom, watching students enter the classroom one by one, with an inexplicable smile shining in her beautiful eyes. Luo Chuan walked into the classroom with his two signature followers. Looking at Kushina at the door, he immediately looked away and sat up straight, looking upright. When he reached his seat, Luo Chuan sat down directly, but his eyes drifted to the person in front of him, with a faint smile in the corner of his eyes. Kushina was observing Luo Chuan from the corner of her eyes, and her face tightened after she noticed the smile in his eyes. This idiot, this bad guy actually looked at Makoto with such a lewd smile. It's definitely not a good thing. After realizing the truth, Kushina suddenly felt angry, puffed out her cheeks, and snorted heavily. However, Luo Chuan didn't notice her dissatisfaction and still looked ahead. Asshole, I really want to kill you, ah. Kushina was going crazy inside. She had already expressed it like this. Why was this guy still ignoring her and staring at Makoto? What did he mean? In a rage, Kushina almost hit him with his small fist. Finally, after careful consideration, he simply lay down on the desk and stared straight ahead. The student sitting in front of her trembled, and a cold feeling spread throughout his body, causing him to instinctively look behind him. At this glance, he saw Kushina's darkened face and endless resentment. His heart trembled and he almost cried. Horrible, this tomato is so terrible, almost like a beast. The restless student was at a loss as to what to do and almost walked to another seat to sit down. Of course, is Luo Chuan really looking at Makoto? Of course, this is impossible. His eyes crossed Makoto's body in front and locked directly on Uchiha Fugaku's body. The young patriarch of the Uchiha clan is no different from before. He looks calm and composed, chatting and laughing with the female classmates around him from time to time. The female classmates who talked to him had smiles as bright as flowers, almost touching his body. Although Uchiha Fugaku cannot compare with Luo Chuan in terms of strength and appearance, his status as the Uchiha young patriarch is enough to attract countless girls. In this world where girls mature extremely early, teenage girls have already regarded love as their top priority, and academic matters have long been neglected by them. Fugaku was so happy. In these girls, he found his old self-confidence and the feeling of being the center of attention. He has always been a popular figure in the school and the center of attention, and he cannot bear Luo Chuan's arrival. The arrival of Luo Chuan crushed him and made it difficult for him to return to the high-spirited time. Therefore, his heart was filled with resentment and he wished that this member of the Hyuga clan would die. However, the consecutive assassinations by the family ninjas were unsuccessful, and they even lost several ninjas, which made him feel strongly unhappy. It was him that Luo Chuan was observing. When he saw the other person talking and laughing with the girl, the ridicule in his heart was self-evident. The beginning of the matter was with this man. If it weren't for his provocation, the Uchiha clan wouldn't have come to trouble him again and again, and he wouldn't have gone to the Hokage building twice. However, there are advantages and disadvantages. The two assassinations increased his strength a lot, and he also obtained a large number of ninjutsu from the sealed book. However, the feud with the Uchiha clan is destined not to end so soon, and there will definitely be a lot of time for assassinations in the future. Uchiha Fugaku, let you laugh for a while. After this period of time, the Uchiha clan will prepare for the funeral. With murderous intent in his heart, he then lay down on the desk and continued to refine chakra. He kept thinking about the ninjutsu from last night in his mind and continued to sort it out. Uzumaki Kushina noticed his change, glanced sideways, and finally turned away angrily. Idiot, you look like an idiot at first glance. The teacher entered the classroom, instinctively looked in the direction of Luo Chuan, shook his head helplessly, and ignored Kushina who was already lying on the desk next to him, and went straight to class. When the get out of class bell rang, Luo Chuan straightened up lazily and stretched. Kushina also raised her head and looked at him, her face obviously hesitant. After thinking about it again and again, I put my hands into the drawer and fiddled with it for a while. When Luo Chuan was about to get up and leave, Kushina suddenly said, "Hyuga Luo Chuan, it's for you." Kushina took out the contents of the drawer, but it was a bento. Luo Chuan was stunned for a moment. What happened to this little pepper? Why is it so weird? Isn't it because he wants to use some other means? However, what happened before made him have to doubt that this little pepper was not such a gentle person. Once bitten, twice shy. Seemingly understanding what he meant, little pepper snorted and said, "Don't think about it, this is not specially prepared for you, it's just an extra serving." As he spoke, he pushed the lunchbox onto Luo Chuan's desk and finally looked away. Luo Chuan was amused for a while. This arrogant little pepper was quite cute sometimes. He opened the lunchbox gently. However, after he opened the lunchbox, his expression suddenly became strange. What is this? The contents of the lunchbox, tentatively, could be said to be food. What is that sticky mess? And some soup. However, the scent seems pretty good. Kushina did not doubt that he was there and said directly, "Of course it's a ramen bento. This is the seafood ramen I prepared from Ichiraku Ramen." Well, it turns out it's ramen. But, what about seafood? Where about ramen? Boiled noodles? What is this slimy thing? Are you sure you can eat it? It's hard to imagine that this sticky thing is actually ramen. And where is the seafood? Wasn't it eaten secretly? Kushina's face froze, and countless wells appeared on her forehead. She turned around and glanced at the lunchbox, and immediately yelled, "You idiot, I won't even feed you, you are just a complete idiot. Stupid." As he said this, he grabbed the lunchbox and ran away with a look of grievance on his face. Luo Chuan was dumbfounded. What was going on? "Boss, you seem to be in big trouble." It could be something big. The two brothers Hiyashi and Hazashi slipped over, seemingly gloating about their misfortune. Luo Chuan glanced at them and found that these two unlucky children were a bit arrogant. It seemed that they needed to be beaten hard, otherwise they would be sorry for Qianyang. However, the two brothers seemed very alert at this time and ran out of the classroom without giving him a chance. Luo Chuan shook his head and said, "These two boys, it's true." However, Kushina's performance made him pay attention. What does it mean that this little pepper was so kind to him today? Unable to understand what little pepper was thinking, she could only turn around and leave. At this moment, Makoto, who was sitting in front, suddenly turned his head and smiled at him. "Classmate Luo Chuan, I don't know whether I should say something or not." I'd like to hear the details." Makoto nodded slightly, stood up and sat down at Kushina's seat. He turned around and said, "Actually, Kushina-san is a very nice person. You shouldn't treat her like this. The bento she prepared carefully, although it may have taken a little longer, but her intentions are good, and you really shouldn't treat her like this." Makoto is soft-spoken, in stark contrast to Kushina's carefree demeanor. Luo Chuan also has a certain understanding of this character and naturally knows her character. However, it seems a bit impossible for him to apologize to Kushina. That little pepper has gone to nowhere. Kushina has such a personality, I understand that. Don't worry about her so much, she will forget it soon. After all, they are just children, so there is no need to take it so seriously. It is indeed a bit funny to say such words based on his current appearance. Makoto laughed. Although she is weak, she is still young, but you can still tell what her character is like. This is a relatively quiet girl who usually doesn't talk too much to other people. Now I came to talk, but it was also because of Kushina. 9. Okay, let's not talk about her for now. Tell us about your situation. Is that guy still pestering you? I vaguely remember that Fugaku had been pestering Makoto before, but he interrupted him last time. But when two people are in the same family, things can easily go wrong. If Fugaku creates a stumbling block for Makoto in the Uchiha family, Makoto will have no ability to resist. Makoto obviously didn't have that many ideas. She was just a girl under 10 years old and didn't understand these things at all. She smiled and said, "No, speaking of this, I haven't officially told Luo Chuan yet." "Thank you, classmate." "No, it doesn't have to be so troublesome, it's just a breeze." Luo Chuan's intention was not to thank the higher-ups anymore. He was just unhappy with Fugaku pestering Makoto. As long as Fugaku was unhappy, he would feel very happy. The hatred between the two has ended, and one of them will eventually fail. Makoto kept smiling, and there seemed to be a radiance surrounding her body, which was warm and made people feel much more comfortable. I still have to thank you, but I don't have anything to give to classmate Luo Chuan right now. Well, classmate Luo Chuan didn't prepare a lunchbox, how about we eat together? After saying that, she got up and took out her own lunchbox and opened it. The lunchbox was not very rich, just white rice and some vegetarian vegetables, and just a few pieces of meat. The dishes are simple but full of flavor and color. The amount wasn't much, obviously just enough for her alone. Luo Chuan smiled and said, "No, I'll just go out to eat." "You can eat by yourself, don't starve yourself. It's okay. Eating too much outside is not good for your health. I did it myself." Does Luo Chuan think it's bad? Makoto is a little disappointed. If you look closely, this bento does not look very rich. Thinking of letting the people who helped her eat these things, she felt an inexplicable sourness in her heart and felt sad. Luo Chuan knew what was going on when he saw this posture. He smiled helplessly and said, "Well, since Makoto said so, let's eat together." The tableware only had a pair of chopsticks and a spoon. Luo Chuan took the spoon and gestured. Makoto smiled, picked up the chopsticks and started eating. Luo Chuan said nothing and just started eating. "Classmate Luo Chuan, this is for you. This one is a little lighter, but the taste is pretty good." Makoto put the vegetables and meat in the lunch on the spoon with a warm smile on his face. Seeing that Makoto was just eating with white rice, Luo Chuan frowned. "Isn't this little girl too considerate of others? I'll give it to you." Makoto didn't add any vegetables, but still ate the white rice, and said, "Classmate Luo Chuan, let's eat it. I eat very little, shouldn't boys eat more meat?" "Well, I'm full." After only taking a few bites, Makoto put down his chopsticks and looked at Luo Chuan with a smile. "Luo Chuan has black lines all over his head, is this okay?" Looking at the expectant look in the other person's eyes again, "Forget it, let's continue eating. Don't be in the same situation as Kushina, otherwise you will have a headache." At that moment, he ate the whole bento with his head down. In front, Uchiha Fugaku looked at the two of them, gnashing his teeth, and his eyes flashed with dangerous light. Even the girls who brought bento to him were a little scared, so they could only put the bento on the desk. Superior. Everyone understands the grudge between the two, including the little girls. But it is obviously impossible for them to feel resentment towards Luo Chuan. They are all from big families, and one of them is so handsome and powerful, fully meeting the requirements of Prince Charming. It's just that he doesn't have the same identity as Uchiha Fugaku. If the identities are equal, the little girl's choice is self-evident. Fugaku clenched his fists when he saw Makoto's smile. That smile had never been shown to him. He swept the lunchbox away from the desk and walked out of the classroom with a dark face. Nowadays, he can be said to be helpless against Luo Chuan. The assassination did not end the opponent, but instead increased Konoha's vigilance. If he wanted to assassinate him again in the future, the risk would rise sharply. And if it's a duel, his strength is not on the same level as his opponent. His anger was vented countless times, and he was unhappy looking at anyone at this moment. Anger burned in his chest, making him so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. In the room, Luo Chuan took a deep breath and formed seals with his hands. Multiple shadow clone technique. Boom. A stream of white smoke suddenly appeared in front of him, and blurry figures were hidden in it. The white smoke dissipated, and 7 figures exactly like him appeared in front of him. Multiple shadow clone technique. This is a ninjutsu that only Jonin can master. But now that he has a small amount of chakra, the effect of using it is not very good. There are only 7 shadow clones, but that's enough for him now. Shadow clone technique can accumulate ninjutsu experience and speed up the proficiency of ninjutsu. In this case, there is finally a convenient way to improve. Shadow clone technique has such a clever effect. Although it cannot help practice chakra, it can practice it. After the ninjutsu is released, the experience learned by shadow clone will also enter the mind of the deity. After collecting a lot of experience and sorting it out a little bit, I will be able to have a deeper understanding of the technique and use it naturally more flexibly and skillfully. Success is reserved for those who are prepared and work hard. Luo Chuan never stops practicing and practices all the time. The 7 shadow clone practiced ninjutsu according to his wishes. Although there were great limitations in the room, they were still able to practice some ninjutsu. Chakra has made a qualitative leap forward. Now as long as it breaks through the shackles, it can truly gain a foothold in the ninja world. The last battle with 2 elite chunin caused him to consume a lot of chakra, but it also allowed him to absorb the pupil power of a pair of Sharingan, which boosted the power of the upgraded Byakugan, and at the same time, the dust escape was also slightly improved. The simultaneous improvement of the 2 powers was like opening up the 8 extraordinary meridians, allowing his body to accommodate more chakra. After chakra reaches a certain level, it will encounter obstacles, which are generally called shackles and bottlenecks. As long as we can break through the shackles and bottlenecks, there can be improvement there. Chakra is like this. After it is improved to a certain level, chakra is qualitatively improved to break through the calmness. This leads to the purity of chakra. The purer the chakra, the more powerful it will be when performing ninjutsu technique. It was difficult to improve the chakra at the previous chunin level, so he made a qualitative improvement. His method is to compress chakra to make chakra more pure. For example, a battle between 2 Uchiha elite chunin allowed him to break through this shackles, and the amount of chakra he could hold increased, which is the amount of chakra at the elite chunin level. With this amount of chakra, he has the power to fight the special Jonin with the ability to jump over levels and take first blood. However, Jonin in particular represents richer combat experience and a more thorough understanding of ninjutsu. Also, titled special Jonin basically have strange abilities. Therefore, there is actually a lot of pressure when it comes to actually fighting a special Jonin. Therefore, the top priority now is to continue to improve the purity of chakra and master the obtained ninjutsu. This is the foundation of combat. Although the amount of chakra is not the criterion for determining a person's combat effectiveness, it is still an indispensable part. Some people are born with huge chakra, but the power they can exert is very small, and the chakra is wasted too much. Precise control of chakra and understanding of ninjutsu, this is the real fighting power. Therefore, it does not mean that having a certain level of chakra does not necessarily mean you have that ability. Just like Luo Chuan, the amount of chakra in the Chunin period was already enough to fight elite Chunin. That's it, Luo Chuan understands better how to improve his abilities. The various abilities in the ninja world are endless. To gain a foothold in such a world must require some special skills. His biggest reliance is upgraded white eyes and upgraded dust escape. Shadow Clone also focuses on cultivating these 2 abilities. As for other escape techniques, you can practice them slowly. Time passes slowly during practice, and Luo Chuan's speed of refining chakra is gradually increasing. It was just dawning, and a faint fish belly white rose in the distance in the east. The sunlight reflected in the room, and Luo Chuan immediately opened his eyes. There was a faint white light flashing in his eyes, which quickly subsided and returned to black pupils. He sighed helplessly. It is really not that easy to improve Chen Dun's power. There are still many roads to go in the future. The 7 shadow clone disappeared quietly at this time, and memories poured into his mind one after another. After quickly receiving the memories, Luo Chuan sorted them out and kept sorting them out. By the time these memories were sorted out, half an hour had passed. He formed a seal with his hands again and summoned 7 shadow clone again. After assigning the training tasks, he got up and went to the cafeteria. After a simple meal, he walked to the school with his 2 signature followers. A few days have passed, and Kushina's little Pepper's change of attitude is a little funny. Ever since he casually said a few words about ramen, Pepper looked at him as if he wanted to eat him alive all the time. However, the prank did not happen to him, but to other students. Pranks such as glue, blackboard erasers, and chili oil continued to appear, as if they wanted to take out the anger they received from Luo Chuan on others. All the students were frightened. They couldn't help but tremble every time they saw little Pepper approaching, for fear that she would cause trouble for them. Uchiha Makoto is still so considerate and always apologizes on Kushina's behalf after she plays a prank, which makes Kushina very dissatisfied. There was an evil look on his face, but it was unclear what he was thinking in his heart. Kushina-kun, you played another prank today. The bell rang for the end of get out of class. Makoto looked at a few classmates who couldn't stand up, turned his head and smiled softly at Kushina. Kushina snorted and turned her head, but her peripheral vision glanced at Luo Chuan. Makoto laughed and said softly, Kushina-san, I have a bento here, how about we eat together today? When talking about the bento, Kushina became even more angry, like a kitten with fried hair. I don't want your bento, I don't want it, I hate you. Ah, this. Makoto was stunned for a moment, with an awkward smile on his face. By the way, I also brought a lunch box. At this time, Luo Chuan spoke slowly and took out an extra-large bento from the drawer. Makoto and Kushina's eyes immediately glanced over. Did he bring a lunch box? The extra-large bento must be a lot bigger for other people, so one person would naturally not be able to finish it all. Makoto and Kushina both looked over, but Kushina still didn't turn her head. Makoto looked at the lunchbox and said with a smile, Luo Chuan-san, this lunchbox is really rich. Luo Chuan smiled lightly and said, don't eat your portion. Eat something nutritious. You still need to get enough nutrients at your age. At the end, he swept the small chili pepper and said, if you don't mind, Kushina, can you eat it too? Kushina's ears twitched and he hummed, I don't want it. If you show courtesy for nothing, you are either raping or stealing. I have it myself. After saying that, she took out her bento again. It was still the familiar ramen bento, but in Luo Chuan's opinion, it was no different from batter. After such a long time, the noodle products would naturally become mushy. Luo Chuan opened his lunch box, and Makoto's eyes suddenly lit up. Just now, you could see a rich lunch box through the lid. Now when you open it, it is really full of color, flavor. His status in the Hyuga clan is basically equivalent to that of an elder, and his meals are naturally carefully prepared. Makoto-san, let's eat together. I brought chopsticks and spoons. He took out the chopsticks and spoon and handed them to Makoto. Makoto smiled and said, thank you. She silently put away her own lunch box. In comparison, her lunch box was a bit shabby, with less meat and less vegetables. Although it tasted good, the quantity was really too small. He ate it in small bites, but Makoto was not very polite. Although she is gentle at this age, she still has the heart of a child after all. Most of the delicious food was something she had never eaten before, so she naturally put aside her reserve and started eating. Luo Chuan glanced at Kushina, who had not yet moved her chopsticks, put the chopsticks and spoon aside, and said leisurely, if someone doesn't eat, the leftovers will have to be thrown away. Kushina's heart skipped a beat, and she suddenly thought of what happened that night. I glanced sideways at the lunchbox that exuded an alluring luster and fragrance, and then looked at my own ramen that was the same as batter, and I suddenly felt so bitter. The aroma was so fragrant that she couldn't help but move her nose and hesitate. Makoto saw the hesitation in her eyes at a casual glance. After thinking about it, he picked up the chopsticks that were put aside and handed them over, saying, Kushina-san, let's eat together. Kushina looked at the bento and chopsticks, couldn't help but licked her lips, hesitated for a while before taking the chopsticks awkwardly, and hummed, I'm not eating your bento, Makoto invited me, if not Makoto, I won't eat your food. Luo Chuan burst out laughing. Is there any difference? Forget it, I won't reveal the mask of this little pepper and just eat in peace. The three of them enjoyed their meal here, and Hiyashi's two signature followers were squatting in the corner eating their lunchboxes consciously. I looked in the direction of Luo Chuan and then looked at my own side, feeling deeply helpless in life. Some people can have two beauties with completely different styles around them when they eat, but they only have one single dog. Sure enough, life is full of all kinds of routines. There is another person, and the hatred in the other person's heart is so overwhelming that he wants to rush over and smash this slightly warm scene with a punch. But he didn't dare, at least not now. Power is always a shackle that restricts a person's behavior. Uchiha Fugaku intends to interrupt the other person's leisurely life, but his power is there. Thinking of the ninjas sent out by his family, all of them were now dead, and his heart suddenly became colder. There must be a master of the Hyuga clan protecting him, otherwise he didn't believe that the other party already had that kind of power. He didn't want to believe this kind of thing. All the ninjas sent out were dead. According to the family's inference, they should be protected by experts. After all, a strong person like Elite Chunin has been killed. It is absolutely impossible for a student to do it. Although I received news from the Hokage building that it was Luo Chuan who killed those ninjas. But how could anyone believe it? Especially when Hyuga Qianyang appeared in the Hokage building for the last time, the senior officials of the Uchiha clan concluded that someone from the Hyuga clan must be protecting Luo Chuan, otherwise the kid would have been dealt with long ago. Several ninjas died one after another, and the Uchiha clan could only suffer the loss of silence. Luo Chuan's explanation was that what he killed was an enemy spy. If they went out and said it was theirs at this time, wouldn't that mean they were seeking death? Especially when he provoked a fight for no reason and still wanted to kill fellow villagers, the top management of Konoha would never let it go easily. At that time, it will be equivalent to giving Konoha's senior officials an excuse to attack the Uchiha clan. By then, the Uchiha clan will be in disaster. The knocked-out teeth could only be swallowed in the stomach. The senior leaders of the Uchiha clan were holding back their anger and had nowhere to vent. Hyuga Luo Chuan, it will never be what you want, Makoto can only be mine. He was roaring crazily in his heart, and his gloomy expression made girls who tried to get close to him stay away, for fear of harming Kai-yu. After the slightly cozy lunch, Makoto packed up naturally, while Kushina leaned on the chair and touched her bulging belly. So full, so full. After enjoying a decent meal, Kushina had a thick smile on her face and looked much more pleased with the person next to her. Just the following sentence from Luo Chuan confused her. Wipe your mouth, you're so sloppy. And girls, don't act like this, it'll look like you're pregnant. Look at Makoto, he's such a nice person. Click, Kushina's brain crashed, sloppy. Pregnant. The hand touching my belly was shaking, and veins were about to pop out on my forehead. Boom, he punched the table hard. Hyuga Luo Chuan, you are big idiot. Kushina burped and ran straight out the door. Luo Chuan was stunned for a moment. This is indeed not a soft-spoken little pepper. It's just a joke to liven up the atmosphere, isn't it? In the Uchiha clan mansion, Uchiha Fugaku returned from school with a gloomy face. The clan members around him who greeted him had been ignored by him. With an extremely ugly expression on his face, he walked into a room and saw the man sitting on the tatami practicing ninjutsu. Father. After greeting the man respectfully, the man opened his eyes, and his appearance was somewhat similar to Fugaku. This person is the current leader of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Hina. Seeing his son come in, Uchiha Hina nodded, with deep appreciation in his eyes. How was school today? Your Sharingan has been turned on, so you have to work harder. Now Uchiha Fugaku has activated Sharingan. He usually shows amazing talent and is recognized as a genius within the clan. Now that Sharingan has been opened, it goes without saying. Countless people believe that the opportunity for the Uchiha clan to re-emerge has arrived. If they open Sharingan at such a young age, Fugaku will surely have brilliant achievements in the future. At that time, under his leadership, he will return to the core of Konoha's power and even take charge of Konoha. Uchiha Hina also has high hopes for this son. The aura of genius appears in his son. What a touching and desirable potential. A simple greeting sounded so harsh to Uchiha Fugaku. He could not suppress his inner anger and said in a suppressed voice, Father, I met that guy again in school today. When I saw that guy, I couldn't help it. I want to kill him. Knowing his son well, Uchiha Hina naturally knew who he was talking about. A glint flashed in his eyes and he asked, Is it that brat from the Hyuga clan? Yes, it's that fool. He's very close to Makoto now. My fists clenched loudly. If possible, I really wanted to have a showdown with that guy again. However, this kind of thing is like a flower in the water or the moon in the mirror, elusive and out of reach. The power gap is before our eyes, it is an insurmountable chasm. Uchiha Hina looked at her son's face and immediately snorted coldly and said, That brat is protected by the masters of the Hyuga clan. If he continues to attack, it will be detrimental to us. Fugaku, you are the hope of the family's future. You must know how to be patient. Wait, let's take another chance to end things with that guy. Don't be too reckless, you know. But I can't wait any longer. I wish that guy would die now. Fugaku said through gritted teeth, the burning anger in his eyes making him want to get angry. Hina frowned. You must not take action without absolute certainty. Once you take action, it must be done cleanly and no one can take advantage of it. But there is nothing wrong with it. You want his life. I agree with this. One less genius in the Hyuga clan is only good for our family. However, we must not give the Hyuga clan any leverage, otherwise we will be controlled by others. Wait, if you want to take action when the opportunity comes, I will naturally assist you. Fugaku was overjoyed when he got the answer. Thinking about Makoto again, he rolled his eyes and said with a sly smile, Father, before dealing with that guy, there is one thing you can do. Let that guy experience despair and make him feel powerless for his cowardly strength. Quote. Oh, Hina was interested. What kind of strategy could this son come up with? Fugaku chuckled evilly, with a crazy smile in his eyes, isn't he very close to Makoto? Then let him not get Makoto, we can do this. After whispering next to her father, Hina's eyes lit up, and she finally clapped her hands and said, as expected of my son, this is a good idea. Fugaku was also smiling, his heart full of anticipation. Luo Chuan on the other side didn't know that the father and son were already making plans, and the Hyuga clan was now very vigilant. Especially after the attack and killing of 2 elite Chunin, Hyuga Qianyang almost raised the family's alert status to a wartime alert state. The identity of the other party is very clear. He is a ninja of the Uchiha clan. Anbu can easily investigate this matter. Sarutobi, who received the results of Anbu's investigation, did not hide his intention and explained the situation directly. It's just that it would be inappropriate to start a war with the Uchiha clan now. If the person the Uchiha clan bit to death was not one of theirs, or if it was someone who betrayed the family, then the top management of Konoha would not be able to do anything to them, and they would only be alerting the enemy. Nowadays, there are several masters of the Hyuga clan guarding Luo Chuan at all times. Whenever he goes out, these masters must secretly protect him. This situation made Luo Chuan feel helpless and couldn't do anything special. However, now there is another thing to start with. That is to apply for graduation. They have been in school for a long time, and under his leadership, the 2 brothers Hiyashi and Hazashi have practiced seriously and their strength is gradually rising. In this case, it can be said that the mission assigned by Hyuga Chenio has been completed. There is another matter that has not yet been investigated, and the key to this matter lies with the Uchiha clan. Perhaps it is necessary to sneak into the Uchiha clan to investigate some information, otherwise when will it be over? He can no longer waste time in this ninja school. The ninja school can no longer provide him with much help. The people he needs to meet have already been met. He should look for an opportunity and graduate directly. Plan for the future, graduate from the ninja school, and quickly become familiar with the life of a ninja. Only in this way can he accumulate enough experience to shine in that war and write his own glory. He closed his eyes and continued to refine chakra. Energy continued to be generated in his body, and several ninjutsu had been formed in his mind, just waiting to be practiced. A few days passed like this, and the time passed by as I continued to become familiar with ninjutsu and create ninjutsu. After packing up again and heading to the ninja school, Luo Chuan had already made a decision in his mind. But he didn't know that there was something else waiting for him when he went to school this time. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.